second, man. What do you think the teacher's gonna look like this year?
Good evening, everybody. Yeah. Yo, 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 yo. I got it bad, so bad. All right, guys, got to take our break on Twitch as we get ready to do the pre-roll. You know what that means. You've got 60 seconds to get subbed to the channel, get a gift, talk somebody into giving you a gift, subscribe with Prime, do any one of those things so that you do not have to listen to ads, you do not have to have your broadcast interrupted, and you get to enjoy the full length and feature enjoyment that is Talking Track. 45 seconds till break number one. I'm a teacher. is UltimatDJz. This is Talking Trek Live. Hello, 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 hello. Howdy, howdy, howdy. What's up? Live long and prosper. Hola, mi amigos. And the whole kit and caboodle. Good evening, everybody. My name is UltimatDJz. This is Talking Trek, Star Trek Fleet Command's official podcast. I'd like to welcome you into the show tonight. Checking in to the chat with a Talking Trek server sound off. You guys go ahead and hit it on up over there in the chat. Come on now, don't be shy. Don't be shy. All right, Noon Whistle kicking us off on server 29. What's up? Raj on server 9, Chase on 44. Thank you, Spectre on 11. Rocky Mountain on server 28. The Haggis on 66. Dr. Juby says, yo, Betty Hill on 42. Scaling back from the Outback on 193. Fire Force server 26 in the house. Everywhere it matters on 56. Ty Khan on server 33. Sherlock Holmes on server 27. General Darkfire on server 70. Let's go over and check out the Twitch chat. Actually, it looks like it'll be easier to read the YouTube chat because there's only two of you. Griffin, there's only two of them. all this work we did on simulcasting, and we've got two over there. Matt says, "Yo, what's up?" on server 164, and Jason is there on server 13. In the meantime, let's check out our Twitch chat here tonight. Oh, Jules Verne, you're gonna get slapped. I'm gonna slap the hilariousness right out of your mouth.
Better get in there.
Yeah, you better get it in there. All right, let's see. Let's say hello to our Twitch chat here tonight. What's going on? Corellius on server 13. Dragon Keeper on 53. Deckard on 37. And Dominus Prime on 53. Engineering on 710. Commander Taylor. Wow, this jumps all over the place. Commander Taylor on 187, Moose Road 181, Ham Sam on 187, it looks like. Annie McAndy Face on 188, Lost It on 55, General Arc on 34, Papa Smurf on server 61, Yowzers on 118, Spock on 35, Floyd on 21, Worf on 137, Madrox on server 8, Odysseus on, man, the chat is jumping all over on me right now. What's up, Big X on 132, V-Real on server 11. What's going on, everybody? Appreciate you guys all being here. Chat jumping all over the place. That was kind of weird. I would have liked to have read more of the Twitch chat. There's like 100 more messages in here, Griffin, but I can't read them all because the chat keeps jumping down. Like, you know how like it normally would like pause and let me read back? Yeah, I wasn't doing that. It was just every time someone, it was just popping it back down on the bottom there. Why?
Just read faster.
I was trying to read faster. For some reason, the sound alerts aren't working properly. Let me see if I can.
What a shame.
Let me see if I can take a quick peek at that real quick. I'll just take a super fast, quick peek. You know what? I may not be able to fix this tonight. I had a Microsoft update, so naturally, every single virtual cable and every single sound setting has all been reset. As is per normal. Let's see. I am going to try very quickly audio. Yeah, it says cable. Oops. No cable. D ply. Yeah, that's not that does not seem to be working. Well, that's a shame. I apologize, folks. It's something. It's probably because I did not reset that in OBS, and it's not going to get fixed now that we're actually on. Because there was a Microsoft update. So
did the Microsoft update reset your poor attitude from Thursday?
Friday did.
It was Thursday. Thank you very much.
No, Friday, your poor attitude was gone.
Yeah, Friday, my poor attitude was fine. That was actually very, very funny. You're just a tool. No, okay, we'll address that. All right. Jules Verne says he's got a stupid news story. The Green Bay Packers.
Oh,
that's all he writes.
Ouch.
Thanks.
End of story.
End of story. There's nothing else there. All right. So yes, I am frustrated today because.
Oh.
No, I'm in a fine mood. I just obviously am disappointed. The Packers lost today, and boy, they didn't just lose. They did not just lose. They got the ever-living poop kicked out of them. The Philadelphia Eagles just owned that game from start to finish. They listen, I'll give credit where credit's due. We did not We were not the better team today. We could have been the better team today. We were not. We were absolutely not the better
You
team
never should
today.
have let that Brett Favre retire. That's the problem.
Yeah, I don't know that would have had anything to do with it. I'm here to tell you, the Eagles are for real, man. They are no joke. And by the way, Jordan Love is fine. I'm fine with him. We had a good season. I'm happy with the season, but man, just right on the edge of greatness, just right on the cusp of greatness. We were this year. We lost the last couple of games. It didn't turn out real well. And then I think that had its emotional toll, Griffin, coming into the playoff season. But then I'm just telling you, today they were sloppy. So sloppy. We were riddled with injuries. But even the players that we brought in, it's sloppy. Just sloppy football today. And Jordan Love hasn't thrown an interception in something like 200 attempts. Threw two of them today. Fumble on the opening kickoff. We were just terrible. We deserve to lose today. That being said, I guess I could be satisfied with the season. It was another winning season. We'll get better. We'll get stronger and come back. But yeah, man, the Eagles are Caledon. The Eagles have the number 1 D in football. Period. They showed it off tonight. They showed it off tonight. They were stout. No joke. The score was 22-11, which 22-10, I think is what it was. But that's not even an indication of how bad that game was. All right, like you know, Griffin. Oh man, I mean Saquon Barkley, what a player of class. He is in a class all his own. I don't want to spend a bunch of time talking about football, but man, he might be the best player in football right now, Saquon Barkley. And he could have ripped another 70 yards and another 6 points on them tonight, and he took a slide. He kneeled the ball to run the clock out because that was the right thing to do for his team. Just like sitting out the last week of the regular season when he could have set an all-time NFL record, he sat, sacrificing his record for the good of the team. He is the best player in football right now, and he's such a humble guy. He does it. He does whatever they need to do for their team. So,
Austin 73 points out that the Green Bay Packers might have had a Microsoft update to their offense.
Well, that would explain it, since it just messed everything up. There was no cohesion today whatsoever.
What it is that the Packers are still drinking Gatorade, and clearly the Philadelphia Eagles have upgraded to Welch's Grape Ghost Energy on the line.
Oh my God. Yeah, that must be. If in fact the Green Bay Packers were looking for some delicious Welch's Grape Ghost Energy, where indeed would they find that, Griffin?
They would go to gnc.com/BOGO. Offer valid and extended through January 31st.
Oh my God, who's playing bingo tonight? Anybody playing bingo tonight? All right, yeah.
Nothing keeps me up until 3 a.m. grinding those officers better than Welch's Grape Ghost Green Energy. It's green in color, it's grape in flavor, and it's delicious.
There you go. Good in taste. That's what you missed. Green in color, great in flavor, good in. No, I don't know. I was trying to write something on the fly there. Anyway, good evening, everybody. How cold is it in the studio? Well,
18.
Not as cold as normal because I left the heaters running all day and night. But, did I tell you guys, I just got my electric bill from the previous month where I had been leaving the heaters running all day and night. Did I say it was
how'd that work out for you?
It was a $300 electric bill just for the studio. My house is only like $300.
You live on a compound. There are several structures on your compound. $300 a month for electric is not that bad.
Well, it's $600 now. I spent $300 just in the studio, and then $300 for my entire house.
Well, somebody did point out that if you simply moved your studio into your house,
I can't do that. No, I don't want to do
birds with one stone.
I don't want to do that. I've got great space out here. I've got the lighting decorated. I mean, I'm expanding. When Griffin was up here on the mountain, I showed him Studio C that I want to build. I mean, it'll be a little while, but I told him about my plans for Studio C. I mean, I'm going to end up being able to run a network up here. My God, okay, like seriously, I'm going to have 3 studios up here by the time it's all said, maybe more. I've got a sound stage out in the garage, Griffin. I mean, I could turn that. We could make movies there.
It's a full-fledged content house. Too bad there's no running water because the pipes are frozen and busted.
No, there's running water in here. There's no running water out in the woodshed, which is going to be a disaster when it thaws out. I am so disgusted about that I let that happen. That's on me. I let that happen. I'm so disgusted about that. So I'm very, very upset about that. That's gonna be very expensive to fix, I'm sure. Risk Breaker
that's
says
a
put
real
some
world problem. Tonight on the podcast, we have a wonderful evening of training planned inside the Star Trek Fleet Command universe. Do we not, DJ?
Oh, you're trying to get me back on track? Is that what you're trying to do?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, let me say a couple of thank yous very quickly, and then we're going to get into it because we do have a stage tonight. And if I'm not mistaken, Jules Verne will be joining us here in about 15, 20 minutes as well. Let me say thank you to a couple of folks over here in the chat very quickly. First of all, to Alto for the follow, Jazz Gaming, and Bastistinican. Thanks for the follow.
Nailed
Appreciate that. Yeah, I think I got that. Camden for the YouTube subscription. Thanks for checking us out over on YouTube. Yar for the follow. John Roll with the Amazon Prime sub. Annie McAnnie Face with the 24-month Tier 1 resub. Here, let's break out our PP points here tonight. There's one for John Roll. There's one for Annie McAnnie Face. Big X over on YouTube. Thanks for the sub. Kirok with the Tier 1 15 months over here on the Twitch chat. And Alicia, thank you for your 100 kitty bitties. K.A. Knowledge dropping a gifted sub into the chat to Deckard. Rocky Mountain with a Tier 3. Oh, my God. Look at that. Rocky Mountain with the Tier 3. I don't even remember. How many PP points is that? Like 6 PP points? Or
I
5?
think it's 6 PP points.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 PP points for Rocky Mountain. Thank you very much.
That.
Kill First with the Tier 1 resub. Appreciate that very much. Bear Butt dropping a gifted sub to Thumbelina. Thank you. Stealth Monkey with the Tier 1 resub. Davrick with the 18-month resub. Contradiction with the 31-month resub. Ape with the 32-month resub. Rocky Mountain also dropping 5 gifted into the chat. Daggone, look at you go, Rocky Mountain. Woo!
On a roll.
Benny Hill with the 6 kitty bitties. Thank you. Trek Diva with the 22 months. Dark Trained for the new follow. Pong with the Amazon Prime sub. And Lost In doing the Tier 3. Another 6 PP points. All right, let me count it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Shadow Wolves, thank you for the bits. Benny Hill, thank you for the bits. You guys are incredible. Great support on the channel here. I appreciate that so very, very much. You guys are incredible.
So where does that leave us in total now on the PP points and the sub points?
All right, so let's take a look here. I updated it before the show. So if we take a look here, and I'm just doing this so I can see a little bit better. The camera frame for you overlaps a little bit. So that puts us at 153 PP points, over halfway there on the 12th day of the month. So we are ahead of pace. We will do that. Engineer says, if the voice changer doesn't work, will you refund my mice? Well, as it turns out, it's warm enough in the studio
that it does indeed work. So we'll give the rest of our PP update. We'll give the rest of our PP update in squirrel voice. Woohoo! Anyway, so that puts us at 153 PP points. We're at 98 Prime and gift subs, which would be what? Somebody help me with the math. 153 plus 98 minus 600 means we have 349 subs to go. We are well on the way. Let's see.
Interesting that there are more PP points than there are subs. I never saw that coming.
Yeah, I would not have expected that as well, but you guys are doing a fantastic job. Thank you. I appreciate the effort and the push for the PP points because those are often the hardest to get. But
yeah,
as long as we hit 300 PP points and 300 total subs, that'll put us at a total of 600 subs. And if you look, actually, the thing is, we don't need a total 600 subs because we've got a couple of tier 3s coming in. So if you look up here, Griffin, it says that we're 37% through the goal, but we're actually just a shade more than that because you don't need 300 subs to get 300 PP points, as we just discussed. So
correct.
As long as we get to 600 points over here, then this one up here doesn't necessarily have to get to 600. It should be very, very close, though. All right, so Guru says, does a 3 or 6 month get bigger PP points? Doesn't matter. It's only about tier because if you do a 6-month, it will save you money, but it still gives you the appropriate number of points each month on your monthly anniversary date. So if you do a 6-month, that's fine.
Tier 3, man.
Yeah, do tier 3. Yeah, no, that's fine. Ben Sai says.
And look at that.
Wait, Ben Sai wants to do 50 tier 3 subs, but you go ahead and gift 50 tier 3 subs. I'll kiss your feet. I'll fly out and I'll have dinner with you. I'll buy you dinner. I'll buy you a case of beer. You wanna gift me 50 tier 3 subs? I'll come to your house, I'll cook you dinner, and I'll buy you a case. Are you old enough for beer? If you're old enough for beer, I'll buy you some beer. If not, we'll drink some Ghost Grape Energy drink. How's that?
And look at that. 2 minutes are up.
And there we go. See? 2 minutes are up. Voice is off. There you go. All right.
Zealous Goon with the new sub, as well as Guru Meditation, the DJs.
Appreciate that. Zealous Goon, 20 months. Guru Meditation, 22 months, and 2 more PP points. Thank you guys so very, very much. You guys are rocking the Scaly Bag's like, did I hear free beer? Yeah, daggone right. All you got to do is, are you getting ready to catch the studio on fire over there?
Oh, no.
Dude.
Why didn't I think of that?
Wait. Oliver's hanging
I
out with
should
me
have done
tonight.
that on Tuesday.
Oliver's hanging out tonight. Here's how you know that my issues have been resolved. First of all, streaming looks very stable tonight. Oh, hello. You want to here? Hold on. They can't see you. There's Oliver. Everybody, go ahead and say hi.
Oh, hello.
Hi. Or you can either give them Dr. Pepper.
I don't want to give him Dr. Pepper. I'll give him beer.
No, if they're not old enough.
Oh, if they're not old enough, maybe I'll buy them a jar of pickles. Yeah, here's how you know that the issues are fixed tonight, Griffin, because obviously we're streaming fine. I've got 0 dropped frames on both Twitch and YouTube. Discord looks solid.
Love it.
Oliver's also playing Fortnite, and everything's running great in here. I don't know what was happening Thursday. I have to assume that it was my ISP because it wasn't.
No, I know exactly what it was. What was it?
What was it?
Hammy had his freaking lights on the tree turned on.
I got you. All right. That usually affects the game, though, not here. What
He
was
is
it?
expanded. He has expanded his destruction.
All right.
It was in the patch notes.
Oh.
You must have not read the patch notes.
I always read the patch notes. It's my Alliance Discord that I don't read, Tarpy. By the way, I got a message today from my Admiral that he has officially demoted me in anticipation of the chat-controlled stream, which Tarpy has officially designated for Friday night. All right, that's going to happen, Griffin, Friday night during our twitch.tv home stream. It is official. Chat will get 1 hour. They will get 1 hour control of my STFC account. A couple of ground rules apply there. We'll go over those on Friday. But they have demoted me in anticipation of that. Yes, I've been fired, Dirty Bird Bill. That's exactly right. They've demoted me to the lowest possible, what is it, agent? So yeah.
So what's Friday?
Friday is the night that you're running the show, producer Tarpy. That would be Friday the 17th. We will be live on twitch.tv's homepage starting at 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm very excited about that. So we're going to be doing a bunch of stuff. We are going to play some Star Trek Fleet Command because that's true to what we are. We'll be playing some Fleet Command that night, but also I believe that we are going to probably knock off 1 or 2 items from the Christmas Angel Fund checklist, if I'm not mistaken, as well. Tarpy, is that right? No, she's gone now. We were talking about this earlier today. She said she was definitely going to schedule in for us for you guys to have control of my account. And then there is also, I believe, Tarpy, you've got Google Maps Roulette scheduled for Friday night as well. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So she's also working on a couple of 3 other ideas. We're probably planning on going about 4 or 5 hours that night while we're on the homepage of Twitch. We're going to do a wide variety of stuff. It'll be a lot of fun, so we invite you to check out for that. Plus, it is my birthday. It's my actual birthday, January the 17th. So I'm hoping that it'll be a lot of fun. I'm hoping that we can ramp up some PP points and earn some new followers that night as well, as we will be on the Twitch page. I know, 75 years young, Dr. Juby. I'm feeling really good. And
we're going to sing. We're going to sing.
No, we are.
We're going to break. Yeah.
No, that doesn't work. No, that doesn't work on the internet.
You just said I was producer Tarpy. You said I was producer Tarpy.
But there's a timing issue there. There's a timing issue. That's always going to be bad. Okay, that's not going to work well. Spectre says we're going to sing. Yeah, there's delays and all that stuff. So yeah, we'll see. Hey, Iron Chef, what's going on? Iron Chef with the big old stinky raid from Aloha Diz. I was watching you and Dr. Mom just a little bit ago, talking about what was going on with Disney and all that stuff, and then we'll mention this as well as we kind of get ready to start into our content. But I appreciate the raid. Thank you, Dr. Iron Chef. Appreciate that. Skyquake says my birthday's on the 18th. Ooh, nice. Okay, very cool. Yeah, mine's on the 17th, so we'll have a back-to-back birthday thing. Barkman says I put on a hat and started dropping frames. Nope, haven't dropped any frames. Everything's good. Wait, are you saying I put a hat on and stopped dropping frames?
Oh, there you go.
That may be. Maybe I scared the internet. That's possible too. So my my admiral has demoted me in anticipation for Friday's show. But he also made a comment, all right, which was very, very funny, Tarpy. He wrote, I'm demoting you. Bull mentioned that you were aware that we would do it when the audience takes over your account. Let me know when you want to come back. He also said at some point, I don't remember where this was, I think it was in AC, he also enjoyed the fact that that you, Tarpy, called me out and shamed me for not reading Alliance Discord. And he thought that was hilarious. The fact is, I don't. All right. I have so many Discords. I don't read them all. And Alliance Discord, I just kind of count on Bull and JB to keep me up to date. But yeah, I don't read it. All right. There's 100 people in there, and they post a lot of silly things sometimes. And I just need the meat and potatoes, right? Bull gives me the meat and potatoes. But yeah, he made fun because I don't read. What time's the stream on Friday? Check. I think, Griffin, what did we plan on? Probably starting at 8 p.m. Eastern time. I think was the plan.
You said 8 Eastern, so probably about 9:35.
No, it's got to be 8 because we're going to be on the Twitch homepage, so we got to be there at 8. So we might even start a few minutes early. Crazy. Ah!
So DJs.
Yeah.
6:30 your time is what you need to think about.
No.
6:30. 6:30. Because then you will be on by 8.
No, I won't even be home by that time. I got to work that day. I won't even be home. So
that's my point.
Yeah, no, it'll be fine. Stony Dude, thanks for the hydrate. I'll do that now. Engineer there, you had your voice changer, and Mid Strangler, thanks for the hydrate as well.
You know, it's funny. The last 2 times I saw you work in person, you left at like the crack of 3.
No.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Punch-ratter.
No, I don't leave early. I left early for you. What do you mean the last 2 times? We were only there one day. Normally, I'm there late. Like, normally, I'm there past 5 o'clock.
The day I flew in, you left early, too. You were a ditcher.
No.
It had nothing to do with the snowstorm.
Actually, we did leave a little bit early. No, I closed the dealership early that day because of all the snow, of which you weren't scared of, by the way. I was really impressed with this, summer guy, okay, coming in here who's never seen snow in his life and all this stuff. I was really impressed with how you navigated the weather. By the way.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I was 4-wheeling up your mountain pass at like what, 11 p.m., 10 p.m.
Yeah, you actually made it up the driveway. It was kind of crazy. He didn't even need me to come down and get him. I was going to come down and pick him up, and he didn't need that. So, anywho, oh, that's right. Remember, Mrs. Boss now watches the stream, so I got to be careful about when I say I leave early.
Hi, Mrs. Boss. How you doing?
She did. She popped in the other night. What night was that? Friday night,
no,
right?
she didn't.
She did.
No, she did. How
she did.
Could she possibly found your stream?
Well, we're all convinced that you told her.
It was fun.
What?
Yeah, we're all convinced that you told her. That's what the theory was in chat.
Conversations with Mrs. Boss that were outside of your purview.
That was the theory in chat, because all of a sudden I got a text message and she sent me a screenshot of us up on the TV. I was like, oh hell. I'm gonna have to watch.
Was she watching the Thursday show?
No, she was watching the Friday show, thankfully.
Oh, thank God for that.
No, okay. All right. So here's the deal. Speaking of the Thursday show, let's get serious for a minute. The Thursday show hasn't been uploaded yet, and I am going to, but in its edited form. I'm just gonna read this statement very quickly, and then we're not going to talk much more about it. Thursday, the show that came on with the interview with Game Design. First of all, that day was already stressful. Work was stressful. Griffin knew that. Then that night, the internet kept dropping, and we were having all those problems, which I can only assume must have ended up being an ISP issue because the next day, everything was fine. All right, I've rebooted everything. Everything was fine. Like, there was nothing wrong with computers. Everything was fine. So I was extremely frazzled. Then I watched the interview, which I was not happy with. Admittedly, I was not happy with it. I think it deserved to have a critical attitude about it. But the way in which I conducted myself towards Hammy was not at all professional. As a matter of fact, this had a lot of for me, it was reminiscent of how I treated Echo over assaults, and I never wanted to repeat that. I remember saying at that time, which was what, 2.5 years ago, that
January is a dark month for you.
I should carry myself better.
Out.
I should carry myself better. That is why we have the access. Okay, plain and simple. You guys can say all the support you want, which I appreciate. All right, I do. I got all these messages. You did nothing wrong. All you did was emote real well, and you were passionate. But there's a professional way and a non-professional way to do it. Okay, and I, in the aftermath of that, had really strong recollection of how I treated Echo in an interview over assaults, and I kind of swore back then. 2 years ago or 2.5 years ago, whenever it was, I swore back then that was not an action that I wanted repeated. That was not a decorum or an attitude or a presence public that I ever cared to repeat. And then I ended up doing it. So I wrote this, that I would like to apologize for my demeanor on Thursday's show. My behavior was embarrassing, not only to myself, but my team, my co-host, and our guest. I could blame a dozen things that occurred on Thursday for my unprofessionalism, but to do so would only give the appearance that I'm not willing to take responsibility for my own actions. There are professional ways to disagree or be critical, and Thursday did not display that professionalism. While I do, in fact, remain critical of this arc and its feature, I certainly could have presented that argument in a way that wasn't demeaning towards our guest. I sincerely apologize to Hammy, Chronitis, Beck, and Griffin for the manner in which I conducted the show. I strive to be professional in all ways, both positive and negative, and yesterday reminded me how imperfect I can be and how much I need to continue to focus on maintaining a professional and welcoming environment for all guests. I can be better, and I will be. I appreciate the patience exhibited by the community and Scopely towards me as an imperfect human, and pledge to continue to work hard to bring the best, most balanced, and most professional content available. As such, Thursday's show, being an example of how not to conduct a welcoming atmosphere, will be modified from its original version. The Twitch feed was removed. The YouTube video was condensed to simply the interview itself between Chronitis and Griffin, and the podcast had 20 minutes of content that was to be removed, skipping from the end of the interview straight to Hammy's happy time. As we rarely edit or condense our podcast, there was a delay in getting it posted, and indeed, in fact, it is still not posted, which I will try to finish tonight. But we will air the show so that all players may benefit from the insights provided by Game Design into the feature this month. Again, words cannot express how embarrassed I am, but I look forward to continuing to grow and to be my best for all of you. Toilet says, too critical of yourself, hugs all around. And I appreciate that. I don't believe that was critical of myself. I believe that I repeated a mistake of my past that I wanted to not repeat. And for that, I am sorry. For those that thought that was influenced by anybody in Culver City, it was not. I did have a conversation with a couple of people afterwards. But it was honestly just, in hindsight, being 2020. It was not. I mean, I even embarrassed my partner. You know, Griffin apologized to me, which was entirely unnecessary. And my reaction to that probably made him feel bad about that interview, which is not what I wanted. So I know DeHaggis came in with all the conspiracy theories in the Discord the other day, but it was none of that. All right. It was simply I behaved in a way that I do not appreciate, that I would not appreciate if I was on the other side. And honestly, I mentioned this to you, Griffin. If I had been sitting live in that interview, I would not have spoken to Cronitis in that way. I know that about myself. It was rude the way that I spoke, and I probably would not have been that rude in person to his face. And that is the true measure. That is the true measure of how I know that I was in the wrong. If I wouldn't have done that to his face, then I shouldn't have done it at all. Right? Isn't that a decent kind of spot to be in, right? Like if you can't say something to somebody's face, you should probably not say it at all, right? So
that is definitely the golden rule, technically, and it is what it is. And I'll tell you, I've been there before too. It is difficult to stream direct and run the back end of a podcast, you guys, or a live stream, much less the multicast. And then things are going wrong, but then you also are still the face of the program and you're still the talent. In fact, the host of a show. That is an almost impossible position to be in. People don't realize, or we don't talk enough about how stressful the job of the behind the scenes of video production really is. Directors, technical directors, live programming, they're smoking, drinking, cussing, and yelling at each other the whole entire time. You never see it. And then you have the on-air talent who may or may not have it in their ear, but their job is to present in a cordial way. And when you try to do both at the same time, something really fun and special happens. And sometimes the monster comes out. And that's happened. I've been in that case, in that position before too. So DJs, it's all good. We all know that you're a man of character and heart, and no harm, no foul. And we just move forward, man. That's all.
Well, and I appreciate that. And that's exactly what we're going to do. As a matter of fact, we have continued to move forward with this arc and with this content. We've done some teaching. We've done some learning on it. Jules should be here before too awful long because we've continued to gather that data. And honestly, I haven't changed my tune on the officers, but the arc or the feature, the Krenum, what are they called? Super weapons. I did actually have a little bit of fun with that this weekend. Just kind of crewing and stuff. Matters helped me a lot with that. So I think once I had a better understanding of how to attack these things, that it became a little bit better. And then I kind of realized, we were on the air Tuesday, which is what we were learning. Then we were on the air Thursday, which was the game design interview. And this is the next time we've been on the air. We actually haven't taught how to play this loop. So we are going to do that tonight. Hellsize says, I would like to know what your critiques of the content are. Can I summarize them in a professional way? Yeah, essentially, my critiques of the content fall mostly within the officers. I do also find frustration in the two loops in one. I don't know that I would have personally designed it this way. I do think it's two loops in one. I was very critical of the Gorn arc, okay? I was very critical of the Gorn arc when they had Gorn hostiles, but you essentially had to hit two different hostiles to make that loop work. I was very critical of that because new loops are bad enough. But when you turn a loop into like a double loop, all right, then that I'm not a big fan of, right? Like if I have to hit one level of Gorn hostile with one ship and then hit another level of Gorn hostile with another ship just to keep the Gorn refinery going, that to me is two loops, okay? Or at least it's two different hostiles or two different tasks you have to do within the same loop. It's double activity. With the Voyager loop, for example, one could argue that was also kind of a double loop, all right? And that you had to kill, it was like 3 or 4 loops because you had to kill the hostile, then you had to kill a second hostile, then you had to mine, okay? And there were 2 things to mine.
And that's why we call that the big buzzword around that was convoluted.
Convoluted.
We did say it was a very convoluted loop because there were so many different splinters on what to do and where to go. And I feel as though when we first previewed this content, DJ, not to speak for you, but we're in the same meeting, we were concerned that there were two loops happening at the same time because there are two different hostels. There were two different exocomps with very confusing names on what to apply to which hostel.
Yeah.
There was an exchange rate, which you have not seen out there in the public, to where after all that work of defeating these entities, what you bring home to bring into that refinery was minuscule compared to what you actually need in order to get a single pull, much less a double pull. And the officers had a below deck ability that we just thought came completely out of left field and made absolutely no sense at all. So when we were previewing the arc, those were our concerns. They were very valid concerns. Now, some of that was addressed before ultimately the product was released, DJ.
Yeah, for example, and I'll give credit where credit's due. The exocomps were appropriately renamed. Guys, I don't remember exactly what they were in preview, but they were not anti-charged, anti-static. I
will tell you, in order to hit the charged invading entity, you would need to pop a static exocomp, and vice versa. If you want to hit a static invading enemy, you'd pop a charged exocomp. And it's like, what?
Yeah. So the idea was actually matters, something that you and Muffins and Daystros, you guys have been talking about in the lab, which I've been watching, is these exocomps are actually applying a state. Now, Ice Wolf, here's why it isn't stupid in design. It's short-sighted in the grand scheme of convoluted, right? But here's why they did it. Because to hit a charged entity, you actually have to apply the state of static. Okay, so basically static is nullifying the charged abilities. They're kind of washing each other out, and then you go. So now the anti-charged exocomp is actually applying a state of static. That's actually what it's doing. And our Talking Trek lab rats have been going through and trying to do some research. As a matter of fact, we're going to check with Matters tonight. We are still in the middle of that research, but we're going to tell you what we've learned so far. Okay, because the favors are also tightly fine-tuned into the use of these exos, and we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight. But that is a good example, Griffin. They renamed them, thankfully, to anti-charged. Okay, and anti-static for if you were going to fight a static.
How they work, their names make sense. It's just that nobody would take the time to figure that out. And you would be confused and you'd pop the wrong exo every time. Guaranteed.
Yeah, absolutely. You would have hit the wrong exo, okay? So now that's the thing, Hellsight. The favors, do they work with the exos active? Well, the exos are required in certain cases, right, Matters? We're going to get into this a little bit later, but just from the top down, the exos are going to be required with those favors because the exos are applying the state on the armada or on the entity that is necessary for you to nullify those abilities. So top down, just general answer, Matters. For the favors to be effective, do the exos have to be active?
Yes.
Yes, they do.
Absolutely.
Because the exos...
They don't trigger.
That's right, because the exos are applying a state. It's almost like, think of our normal traditional states, hull breach and burning, for example. There's a couple of others, morale and assimilated. But let's just go with hull breach and burning, right? We've got abilities that will only proc if our target has hull breach. Well, this is the exact same thing. What they've done is they brought different states into the game, charged and static. So if you're going after a static armada, it has static abilities. The anti-static exocomp applies a state of charged.
That's
right.
Hence the confusion. Hence their original name.
Because it used to be a charged exocomp that you would use to fight a static entity. So it's applying the state of charged on the static entity to basically nullify, right? +1 -1 = 0. They're nullifying that entity's states or abilities based on those states, therefore allowing your abilities to work and ultimately the favors to work. All right, because
now that's where you lose me. Why are you guys talking about these favors? We haven't even talked about these favors yet. What favors are we talking about that are affected by these exocomps?
There are favors in the DTI faction store, and we're going to get to that here in a little bit. BBH says it's as clear as mud, and that's actually what we're here to talk about tonight, okay? Because there is...
Which mud?
Yeah, which mud? Harry mud or office mud? You know, whatever. Very nice. Nicely done. Nicely done. There is a lot of confusion. All right. And that's what we're aiming to dive into here tonight. And for those of you, and I have one more apology to issue, for those of you who have relied on this team to provide the quick and dirty how-to on this loop, we are late. All right. I apologize to the community who looks for us on a procedure. We're a little bit late on this one. And why is that? A, because we've had some other things going on. We had the interview. Then we had like a psychological meltdown that I had to recover from for a minute. And then also just because our lab rats are still working on it. Matters, have you guys solved everything yet? No, we're still working on it because of a couple of things. One, it's a complicated feature. It is.
Yeah.
It's a complicated feature. But also, it involves new states, new interactions amongst those states, and new ways to activate those states that we just don't have the resources to test. Right? So we have to have so many directives. We have to have so many exocomps. We have to have so many of the credits to get the favors unlocked so that we can start to see how these things are playing out. We are limited in our ability to test with these resources. That's right, Scaly. Oh, what a tangled web we weave. All right? We are going to shine the light of logic on this puzzle here tonight for you, but it's taken us several more days than what is normal. I personally have said before that I'm a big fan of puzzles. I like puzzles. Thursday, I guess maybe I was just frustrated and I was out. And then Matters and I worked on it some over the weekend, Friday and Saturday, and I started to feel better about the loop because I started to understand it a little bit better. But by God, if it took me a week to figure it out, what about the common player? All right, this is a complicated loop, so we're going to provide a quick and dirty on it tonight. All right, and in doing so, we're going to explain the actual mechanics, okay? The actual mechanics. That's right. Part of the reason that we had some luck in doing some extra testing this weekend was actually because of DTI Max, which, by the way, brilliant idea. Brilliant idea. How long, Griffin, have we called for test drive mechanics in this game?
About 5 years, and it's very interesting. It's like, hey, were you finally able to do this due to like a programming update or something? Like, oh no, just new idea. It's like, oh, okay, perfect.
Yeah. Hey, we're just going to try it out for the first time. Well, I'm glad somebody over there had that idea. Ding. But nonetheless, it was a great idea. That's right, Omicron. New idea. It was a great idea. It was a great implementation. Okay. We've been asking for test drive mechanics for years, in particular with specialty ships. But this one,
officer abilities, even.
Yeah, this was great. This was actually a really, really good thing because Matters, it gave us the opportunity to see the benefits, if any, provided by this building in its future. All right. Now, some players came in and said, okay, I see a tangible difference. Other players said no, that they didn't see a tangible difference. My argument might be a little different. I think, Matters, I felt a tangible difference. Okay. You remember, Tarpy, when we were talking the other night and we couldn't kill the 64s, right? We were streaming, I think it was Friday night, couldn't kill the 64s. I popped my DTI Max and with some crewing assistance, Matters, I got 3 64s and 2 62s on one hull.
It's all about the crewing here.
Crewing mattered, but also I have to feel like DTI Max did a little something. We did change some crewing, absolutely. Yeah. But DTI Max had to have worked in tandem. It had to have been complementary to whatever it was that I was working on. However, there were some players who were right on the cusp of where it wasn't enough to push them up another level, because let's face it, the gap between these hostels is massive. It's
I will
huge.
say the DTI Max, for me, it amplified the effect of having the right crew on the ship.
Yeah.
Significantly.
And I think that was one of the things that we noticed was if you were a player that might not have been focusing on the right mechanics, then DTI Max actually kind of shown a light on that a little bit, saying, hey, maybe you're focused on the wrong thing. When we have seen ships come out in the past, or hostels, all right, that have come out and they've had quadrillions of hull, right? Or the ship ability is massive damage output. Look at, NX-01, for example, against Zindi Aquatics. When you see that damage is the big, massive output, that's the bonus. Well, what should you be focusing on? Damage, right? Like, if damage is the bonus ability, then amplify that. They're telling you, they're giving you the roadmap as to what is going to be necessary to take this hostile down. So when we look at DTI Max, and it had a percentage of isolytic boost, it had a percentage of isolytic defense,
damage. Yeah,
it had a boost of apex barrier, and then it had a boost of damage against invading entities by thousands of percent. You also had officer stats. Exactly, Raj, which would indicate to me, which is not new, but officers matter. And in particular, matters, we might want to look at an officer with stat-based bonuses. That's the key takeaway, right? Now, everybody can see that a stat with the building giving officer stats is just a good thing to have. Okay? Officer stat bonuses are great to have. But if we look at the clues built into the building, which was clearly meant to defeat the invading entities, we can see a couple of clues, a couple of breadcrumbs there. One of which was we should be looking at a couple of stat-based officers. All right. Raj
and just to be
Paris.
clear for our newer listeners, when we're saying stat-based officers, we're meaning officers on the bridge who look at the combined attack, defense, or health of what you're bringing along the ship, right, DJ?
Yeah, it could be on the bridge, but now it could also be below deck as well. All right. So that would be Paris, right, Raj? Absolutely. That could be the doctor, potentially, right? All right. So that is very important. Matthew also points out that this loop really shines a light on those who are well equipped for your ops level versus those who accelerated and might be a little bit behind. The gap in levels of these is so wide that it really does shine a light on your status as an XYZ ops player. If you're ops 52 and you're punching down 4 levels, there's probably a couple of deficiencies in your account that we need to focus on ramping up. Okay, if you're
never going to be successful with this refinery, you will never get there.
That's true, absolutely true. You know, so there's a couple of things. You know, I used to say that solo armadas was the opportunity for you to look in the mirror and see if your account was deficient. And it was when that first started, okay? But it's not anymore. Then freebooters came. Crazy enough, that was not as much of a mirror. Nah, I take that back. Freebooters wasn't. Silence were a mirror of your capabilities right there as a certain ops level that had to hit a certain level of hostile. A lot of players struggle with that. That was an opportunity to do a checkup from the neck up with regards to your account. Okay? Benny Hill says, can you point out a couple of things for folks to focus on? Absolutely. All right. This is going to sound crazy. My number one, and people may not agree, my number one is artifacts. I'm doing a show.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see. Yeah,
Oliver's
artifacts
like, I'm trying
here
to get
really
a
make a
phone
big
call,
difference.
Dad. Can you be quiet? Okay, then take your phone call. Use your headset. He says, Dad, can you be quiet? I'm getting a phone call.
Wow. Well, you know, of course
you're
you
in my
can.
studio.
Has he never heard anyone say, "I'm going to take this outside"?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, the problem is if he takes it outside, he turns into a freaking popsicle.
He says I'm yelling. That's probably true.
Take the good
That's why I
with the
can't
bad.
put the
That's
studio
always
in the
true.
house. Can't put the studio in the house because I'm yelling. All right. Daystro says, interesting take. How about officer tiers and level? Obviously, officer tiers matter.
Yeah.
They obviously do. But let me rephrase. They definitely matter. There's no but to that. Okay. However, there are a couple of different formations that you can use with officers. You don't have to have one set of officers. For example, I am successfully running these, or successfully being a tongue-in-cheek. I don't know if you would call it successful or not, but bottom line is I don't have DeMarco, right? You guys would call that a huge deficiency in my account.
That's a huge deficiency. Everybody would call it that. Yes.
Well, sure. Like I'm just saying, like you guys,
It's one a lot of people have, though.
Well, that's true.
Like, a lot of people don't have her.
A lot of people don't. This feature puts a renewed effort on the importance of this officer. Okay. And Sanguine Otter says, I wouldn't call it a deficiency. I don't have her. Listen, it's a deficiency. Okay. We would do better in this feature if we had Gwen DeMarco. Okay.
No, it doesn't mean you're a bad player. It means that you'll be more successful and effective with her on your bridge.
Exactly. No, she's not needed. She is not needed. She is upper echelon. Like her ability with regards to this hostile will make it easier. For example, if you're a player who's having to punch down, right? Maybe DeMarco lets you punch up. That's what she does. That's how powerful she is in this scenario. If you can't hit your level, then perhaps your deficiency is down to one single officer. All right? That's right. She makes life a lot easier. She allows for a reliable punch up. Okay? Skyquake says, I'm killing my level ones easier. I'm assuming you have Gwen DeMarco. I don't know. But that would be something of focus for players who don't have her. Artifacts I find to be a big one. Now, I've said this for a really long time. I am a huge fan of Isolytic in this game. I think Isolytic was a great reset. I referred to Isolytic damage when it first came out as the Great Reset. It took 5 years. All right. Can you believe it's only been out for a little over a year? I guess a year and a half. When was Voyager?
In fact, it started with Janeway in May of 2023. So we're coming up on 2 years pretty soon.
Well, a year and a half, right at it. A year and a half, year and 7 months. So Isolytic was the Great Reset. Okay. And I continue to maintain that it is very, very important. I think artifacts are very, very important. Artifacts are cheap research, because that's what they are, that doesn't require materials, speed ups, or anything else. Okay. And
did you say sheep research? Like
cheap?
What?
Cheap? It's cheap.
Oh, cheap.
Yeah. Okay.
Why would he say sheep?
I don't know why.
I was wondering where he was going with that too.
Were you wanting somebody to blow up a sheep on the screen? I turned them off.
Okay.
All right.
I'm just triggered by sheep.
All right. Yeah. No exploding sheep tonight. All right. But seriously, Isolytic I find to be very important, and we're seeing that with this hostile. So that is one. Crazy enough, this is something silly that a lot of us have overlooked a great deal of. Actually, I rephrase. We make fun of it as though it's watered down and diluted, but then we come back and we look at nickels and dimes, and we come back and we say, well, how much damage boost do you have? Oh, 7,000%. Well, 50% is silly then, isn't it? Well, how did you get to 7,000%? It was in chunks.
Oh, a lot of 50s.
A lot of 10s
50s.
and 20s and 50s at a time. All right. And the reason I say damage kind of matters a little bit more today than maybe we would have joked about it a year and a half ago is simply because base damage not only increases base, but it also increases Isolytic. All right. If you take a look at some of the favors that we've gotten here recently and some of the research that we've gotten here recently, there's a lot of them in there for base damage, which is silly, right? Or is it? All right. Damage used to be a really kind of a big deal. in that it was highly diluted and didn't matter. All right. But take a look at a DTI. Let's take a look at one of these DTI favors here, right here, real quick. For those of you in podcasts, we're in the DTI faction store. Let's just take a look at quantum static disruption. Okay. Level 1 of this research is a 500% damage boost when the opponent has the static state. All right. Now, just as
Remember when 100 was a prime?
Yeah. 100 was a prime. All right. So this is kind of a big deal. Level 2 of that thing is 1,000. It goes up in increments of 500%. 500, then 1,000. Level 3 is 1,500. Level 4 is 2,000. Level 5, where it maxes, is 2,500%. Matthew points out mirror research. Yeah, each. Matthew points out mirror research, isolated defense and isolated damage, apex barrier, damage boosts. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. These things matter to this feature. Okay? So,
and to
go ahead.
Just to put a button on that, y'all, this is why we're making that point about DeMarco and why we're making a point about the importance here of punching up or hitting your level instead of punching down. Because if you want to make waves with quantum status disruption, you're going to need a lot of static temporal wreckage and a lot of charged temporal wreckage to come in here and convert in this refinery and get there. Because if you're punching down 4 levels, you're never going to make this refinery work for you. You're going to be stuck here for months, years.
Exactly. This is the checkup that we were kind of talking about. You've got to find a way to hit close to your ops or at your level or better. Okay. And this is actually where Jules and Matters helped me a great deal this weekend. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show off for a second. I'm going to show off, Matters, what you and Jules kind of helped me do. If you guys would indulge me for a moment. I ran, of course, you guys saw me run a bunch of these on screen the other night. Now, I don't remember exactly what Scopely gave. I believe it was, what did they give me, 1,000 or 1,500 directives? I don't remember exactly.
I think 1,700 directives. We had 17 starts, I think.
And obviously, we blew a lot of those on screen. I think I had 4 or 5 of them left, okay? I blew a great deal of those on screen. So, Skyquake says 1,700 is what Scopely gave me, and I think we probably spent, 1,200, maybe 1,300. I think I had a couple hundred left. So I do, in fairness, have probably a 3 or 4 Armada lead on the regular free-to-play player. And I don't know if that's fair to say. Well, no, it probably is. 3 to 4 Armadas because we wasted most of the ones that we had in testing. All right. That being said, I went through, I guess it was yesterday, and watched back what we did Friday night and looked at a lot of the crews and listened to a lot of the stuff and went back and looked at some of Jules' charts and thought about this. And I ran, I don't know, at this point, I probably had, let's say 10. Probably not even that many. I had 2 or 3 from the day. I don't know how many I ran. Probably. Well, no, I could tell you how many I ran. I did probably run 10 because I ran 2 max fortifies, and I don't know if I still have the battle log. Hopefully I do. Probably not because I actually did grinding yesterday, Matters. Yeah, I don't have it. I was able to pull off 3 64s and 2 62s in a single run. I did 2 runs. I got an alliance mate to max fort me so I could go back for a second run. So I spent 900 directives because on the second one, I only got 2 runs because there was a lack of 62s in the system.
Yeah, we're seeing that.
Yeah, that's something we're going to talk about. And I did not have Lorca's Fist for the second run either. So that actually made it so that I could only hit 2 of the 64s on the second run and then 2 62s. I could have hit another 62, but there weren't any left. So,
what did we find out?
Well, what we found out was that basically Matters was right with his crewing, and we're going to talk about that tonight. But what I wanted to point out is this refinery is absolutely able to be maintained if you're able to hit your level. I am an Op 64. There is 0 chance I was going up and hitting a 66. Okay, it was not happening. I could reliably hit 62s but 64 was where the money was. I ran 5 64s and 4 62s. I did also come in and spend $1 million of that loot on the 4 chest option, which we're going to go through process here in just a second, all right? Because this is very, very important. Don't do the single pulls. Do the quad pulls. Wait for the quad pulls. This is very important. So I've spent $1 million loot of those, and I'm still holding 3.1 million charged loot and 4 million static loot. If you can hit your level, you are set. Tell me if I'm wrong. Any of you guys out there that are hitting your level, how are you on loot? You should probably be fine. Just saying. Probably should be fine if you're hitting your level.
Oh, yeah.
Noon Whistle says, I am good. All right. Omicron says, I'm laughing at 64s hitting 60s. Don't laugh at them. Teach them. All right. All right. Vul says, not great because my level is never there. Wait, what? What are you talking about? What's your level, Vul? Aren't you like a 70? 70? 69, 70? Something like that?
I think people are having issues with, they use up all of one set of the static armadas. So like in the 62-64 system, they use up all the 62s and only 64s respawn.
Yeah.
Or vice versa.
Yeah.
So like that's the issue people are coming up to.
Oh, for sure. That is a major issue. I mean, even for me, like I said, I can reliably hit the 62s, but the 64s are, I have to have a Max Fort and a Lorca's Fist to be able to do it. I just, there's no other way around it. Can't do it otherwise. All right. So we come up here and we take a look, for example, 62 and 64. That seems to be where a lot of people are trying to hit. You have 62s and 64s in one system. Then on top of that, you have static and charged in one system. So there's actually 4 distinct entities in one system. The number of spawn points, I think, is 16 or 20. So there's actually a very low chance that spawning the entity that you need is going to show up. As a matter of fact, if we take a look at Jules Verne's chart here, Jules, Quazel, Blue, and the STFC community, again, thank you guys for the amazing data. You take a look, 62s and 64s not only have a warp range of 900, which is all right, but they both show it in the same system. Now, this is unique, all right? I'd say unique, but really most of G6 is kind of boned here. All right, and whether or not that's fair, we'll talk about that. All right, but from 60 down, you have at least one dedicated system to your level. 42 has 3 systems dedicated to their level. 44 has 2 systems dedicated to the level. But starting at 48, you have 1 level per system all the way up to 60. Then at 62, it changes. You've got 1 system that shares with 2 levels. Same for 66 and 68, and then 70s get their own system. So between 62 and 68, you guys are literally working with half of the number of necessary hostiles for spawning.
Whoops.
I'm being told that 50 and 52 are in the same system. Well, then you still have 2 systems, though, then, right? You've got Genthara Drift and Navara. 48 has multiples. Okay, so is Genthara Drift with the 48, so 52 has double? See, that's weird. That seems to me like it's a mistake, Griffin. Why was the decision made then that, for example, 52s and 50s share a system, and 62s and 64s share a system, but 54s have their own system? Is that based on
population?
Well,
is it based on game population?
You can't build a feature that way, though, Tarpy, because for an evergreen feature, which is what this is,
that's dynamic. That's a fluid issue.
Exactly. It's going to change over time. So eventually you're going to have the vast majority of your game in needing this level 62s, for example. So that doesn't seem like it makes a lot of sense to me. in an evergreen feature kind of way. All right. That being said, I am being told that this chart may be a little bit off when it comes to the hostile. So we will get with Blue and Jules and see if we can get that updated a little bit. Maybe it's not quite as bad as I thought, but it may, well, it's not as isolated as I thought. That means it's a problem for everybody, right?
That's a better word.
If you have one system that is sharing 48s and 50s, and you've got charged and static, you end up with a problem. All right. Taking a look at server 15 right now, I am in the level 62 system, Cerinthus Array. All right. I see, actually, we're in good shape. Hey, 15, if there's anybody who needs 62s, there's 3 statics in there right now.
Dinner bell.
0 charged, though. Okay. So if you needed charged wreckage, that's a problem for you. All right. If you need charged wreckage, you're not going to be able to get it on my server right now because there are no 62s, and the 64s you might not be able to kill. However, just as a quick shout out on 15, if you do need static, there are 3 62 level statics. 4. There's another one. 1, 2, 3, 4 static 62s in there right now if you need static wreckage. All right. Now, we could spend more time and go through and map out the rest of these systems. I'm not going to do that right now, Griffin. But point is, this is one major flaw that we've got with this system is the spawns. All right. How the charge versus static are spawning, which, by the way, is geographically pleasing. All right. You've pretty much you pretty much got half the system on charged, half the system on static. You do need to look because, like, here's one charge that kind of crept over the halfway line. If you're looking at my screen, basically, you're going to see the statics in the red and the charged in the blue section. But you can't stick to that 100%. All right, because there is, like, for example, here's a charged in the red. Here's a charged barely in the red. So it's not exactly half and half. All right,
it's close,
but it is close.
We were able to figure out that the systems are all split in half perfectly, but they don't all follow the red-blue divide.
Yeah,
some of them are split like with a horizontal line. There's some that are split with a vertical line. Like the background colors stay static; they stay the same. But the divide between where the armadas are going to lie seems to change from system to system, but it is still half and half. So if you're in the same system all the time, you'll learn and figure that out.
This one, for example, is probably matters if you're looking at my screen. Cerinthus Array, if I had to guess, is probably 1 o'clock to 7 o'clock. If I'm having to guess, because you got a charged here at the 1 o'clock, you got to charge down here at 7. So it's got to be, because you've got some right here in the middle too that are static. So it's got to be like right here, kind of hugging that 1 to 7 line. So
yeah, that one's close.
Yeah, that one is very, very close. But the point is that they are mostly in the same area. Okay, they're mostly in the same area. You definitely got to look. All right, you have to look. Because they don't have different denominations or different identifiers, which is, by the way, a piece of feedback that Scopely has, is giving each of them a different icon. So that would help a little bit. But nonetheless, spawning, I think, is a bigger issue than what they look like, in my opinion. Okay? And we'll talk more about that with Scopely UI design as time goes on there. Okay? So let's get into.
I mapped out.
Go ahead.
I mapped out the systems as to where the levels are.
Oh, you already fixed the sheet?
Well, in my head.
Okay.
All right.
I mean, you can, if you've got access, you can go ahead and actually fix the actual sheet itself. But every system up to 48 has 2 systems for each level of Armada. 50 to 60 has 2 systems, but those systems are shared by 2 levels. So 50 and 52s are together in 2 different systems. 54s and 56s are together in 2 different systems, all the way up to 60, and then 62 and up is 1 system with 2 different levels.
Now, I believe that's done by overall population
Well,
of
it
each
must be. Yeah. What did you say was
generation.
going on with 48? What's 48 got? What's Lysara got?
So 48 should be in a system, 2 systems all by itself.
What two?
According to
There aren't 2 systems.
base. Or 1 system. Is it 1 system for
Well, that's
48?
what I'm saying.
Hold
Are
on.
48? Do 48 show anywhere besides Lysara?
Sorry, no. 48s have 1 system.
Lysara.
46 and below has 2.
Okay. And then 42 has 3.
Just
So there we
Lysara.
go. Okay, so
Just 1 system, but
So
it
there we
does only have 48s in it.
Well, there
So
we go. We're fixed up
that
then.
one's safe.
All right. There you go. Yeah, you heard the man, Isaac. Everyone into Matters' head. All right, just start chiseling away over there.
It's
Okay.
scary in
Easy for you
there.
to say.
Help
You-
yourself.
You don't want to be in Matter's head. It's scary.
So
Don't take a wrong turn.
as our audience is returning for break, because there was a break over on Twitch, as our audience is returning for break, here's what we have just learned, all right, which is that we have updated now the maps for the systems where you will find the hostiles. So this is an... I still maintain that G6 has got it the roughest, all right, and I'm going to explain why. First of all, if you
Are we
look...
being taxed? Too soon?
Too soon. What you're looking at here is, again, 3 systems for the level 42s. All right. 2 systems for the 44s and 2 systems for the 46s. 1 system dedicated to 48. So G4, you've got it made. You're always going to be able to find what you're looking for as far as a level. Okay. Starting at 50 and 52, you have 2 systems, but they share. So if you look at Jedthara Drift and you look at Nirvara, both of those systems can have 50s and 52s. But that makes it possible then, Griffin, for the 50s to be farmed out and for both of those systems to be entirely 52s. That possibility
Absolutely does.
can exist. All right. So G5, you do have 2 systems worth of spawns that you can check out, but you still could run into the spawn part. All right. Same for 54 and 56. Those are going to fall in the Solixis Pathway system and Merthian system. All right. 54s and 56s. But again, you could look at farming out all the 54s and only 56s spawning. That is a possibility that exists. Then for the 58s and 60s, you've got the Dravon Expanse and Veil Primus. All right, 58s and 60s there. Here's why I complain on behalf of G6s, is that at least in G5, even though you have double spawns, you still have 2 systems. But starting at Op 62, or level 62 rather, you're still splitting a system. It's 62 and 64. But they're all in 1 system. All right, all in 1 system. Now, I just noticed here, Jules, I've messed this chart up. I know you're going to want to leave this line at 50s because these are the rewards for 50s. So now that I think about it, I don't know. Maybe it would be helpful to enter one more column here as to what hostile is available in what system. I'm not sure. I don't know how you want to do that. I put this data here, but now I just realized that that's not going to work for you. He says I'm going to have to fix the formatting. Sorry, I messed up your formatting. I broke it. Sorry. I apologize. That being said, so that is exactly how the systems break out. Okay. Now, let's talk about how this loop actually works. Oh, where'd Griffin go? The chair's empty. It's gone. Be right back, he says. I think he went to poop. All right, so let's come back in then. So let's talk about this loop for a second, Matters. All right. Step 1 is to identify the officers in which you can fly. All right, I think that is the first step that you've got here. Nothing else matters if you don't know how to kill them, right? I mean, we got to figure out how to kill them. Now, we can talk about the loop. We can talk about the faction store and how to pull stuff, and we will do that here in a moment. But the first thing we got to determine is the officers that work. All right. And Tarpy, I'm going to invite you to come in and talk about this. This was originally your brainchild, this particular chart. Let's talk a little bit about the officers that do, in fact, work. We're not going to talk about the words or, like we did back during the Galaxy Quest arc. We're not going to talk about ands and ors and ifs and buts and, et ceteras, et ceteras.
Right.
All right. Let's just tell the people what works and what doesn't.
Okay. It's mostly if they came out in the last 6 to 8 months, they probably work, unless they're for PvP. So, not all of their abilities, but still most of them. So, Nesmith works, Gwen works great. Tolra technically works, but Tolra's captain's ability doesn't work. So, it's up to you whether or not you want to amplify that with maybe a Picard Bev or something like that. But
Tolra's captain's ability doesn't work. Should we uncheck this box then?
It was unchecked at one point.
Are you sure? Hang on a second. I want to come back and check.
I can't believe she doesn't work.
It says armadas and hostiles.
Yeah. So she works.
Oh, it works. Okay. See, I don't do the words.
So Matters did the words. So wait, why does she work?
I didn't do that. Tolra?
Yeah.
Why does Tolra? Because
the loot ability.
The loot ability works. The basic rule of thumb is for that I've been saying since Invading came out is an officer needs to work against armadas, but it can't only work against armadas. Then it will work against invading entities, or now also if it specifically states invading entity.
Okay.
But any officer that their ability works against armadas but isn't specific only to armadas will work. Same with research, same with boosts, etc., etc. That's the rule.
Basically,
nothing has fallen outside of that. Yeah.
So Defiant ability won't work because that's armadas only. Miles won't work because that's armadas only. Cisco won't work because that's armadas only. So anything that says armadas only, no go.
Okay.
Disco?
Discovery officers.
Oh,
right.
Yeah,
I'm assuming. Yeah. So if we take a look at DJz Tolra, her captain's maneuver specifically is increasing loot gain from armadas and hostiles. So both or neither, right? Armadas and hostiles by 60%. So her captain's maneuver works. But if we come back over here to the chart, what you're going to see, and I actually did just post this in the graphics room, 9:50 p.m. Eastern time for our podcast audience. This is the chart. And actually, it looks like I posted this here about 5 days ago, pretty much the exact same thing up in the graphics room right above. So, and of course, you've got the DTI faction Google sheet that is listed in there as well. So you can actually link over to it and study it. But this particular graphic shows the officers that will work. So let's just in a real brief manner, Tarpy, kind of isolate or identify the officers that most people are going to want to potentially consider using. As in, this is not an exhaustive list of people that would work, but these are the officers that will work in this style of combat. You got Jason Nesmith, by the way, who is surprising some players in his ability. We'll talk more about that. Gwen DeMarco, not a surprise, but phenomenally great. Okay. Tolra, whose captain and officer ability both work. All right. And I should come back and say, with Jason Nesmith, it's only his captain's maneuver that works. With DeMarco, it's only the officer ability that works. Tolra gives you both captains and officer ability. Toli, officer only. Viel, officer and BDA. Beer, officer only. ND Picard, captain's maneuver does indeed work. ND Riker, officer ability, does work. ND Troy, below deck ability, does work. Pelia, Pick Hugh, BDAs both work. Original Kelvin Pike, his captain's maneuver does work. And this is huge. This is part of the crew that I am using. We'll talk about that. Captain Janeway, pretty daggone good. Captains and officer maneuvers both work. Khan, officer ability, functions. Jean-Luc Picard, The one that goes with Beverly. Jean-Luc Picard, not NT-Picard, but the original one, next-gen Picard. Jean-Luc Picard, captain's and officer ability, both works. Beverly Crusher, captain ability, which you wouldn't use, but captain and officer both use. Jean-Luc Picard and Beverly Crusher side by side, very, very good combination. Gorkon, captain and officer ability both work. Lorca, officer ability works. Odo, below deck works. The Doctor, officer and below deck both work. He's key, by the way. I would use that one. Neelix, officer and below deck work. Torres, officer and below deck works. Kim, below deck only. And then Tom Paris, officer and below deck. They both work. All right. Now, down further in that chart, you will see kind of a more exhaustive list of officers that functionally work against invading entities, but you don't necessarily want to use them against these particular invading entities. The chart that we just gave you is going to probably be the pool of officers that you're wanting to kind of hop out of, that you're wanting to choose from. Okay. Now,
Neelix shouldn't have his officer ability checked off because it's cost efficiency for the Voyager scan.
That one I know I didn't have. That one I know I didn't have. So that was someone else.
How many people got edit access? It was probably me.
Uh-oh.
I did it. All right. Why does the Doctor's below deck ability work? Because he's loot?
Yeah. He's loot and he works on all PvE targets.
Yeah, he's like 5. He works on armadas and hostiles. All right. Yeah. He works on everything. So there you go with the list of officers that kind of work. Now, what we did at this point, what Matters helped me do at this point, is identify the 2 crews and the 2 ships that I would want to go with. All right. For most of us, that's going to be our 2 best ships, whatever they may be. For me, it is my Enterprise D and my D'Deridex. My cube is not quite there yet. So then we've got to identify 2 different ships and what the crews are that are going to work. And somebody's going to say, wait, 2? What are you talking about, DJ? Yeah, 2. Because for whatever reason, this particular invading entity doesn't allow for 3 ships like a traditional solo armada, and it doesn't allow for 1 ship like the Chimera invading entities from Galaxy Quest. It does indeed allow for 2 ships. 2 ships in this particular format of invading entity. All right. So the Krenim super weapons allow for 2 ships to be used. Well, there are some players out there like Jonathan Ingram or Canine Tooth that might come out here and single ship these things, and that's fine. Most of us are not going to be in that particular format. All right. Most of us are not going to be there because these hostiles present a pretty daggone stout challenge for most of us. All right. Matt says, well, it does allow 1, but why not 2? Well, yeah, the only way that you would want to do 2, or the only way that you would want to do 1 is for loot purposes if you're like super advanced, right? Like let's say, for example, you can kill your level, right? Let's use a 64, for example. Let's say you can kill a 64, but even with 2 ships, you can't kill a 66, but you could single ship a 64. But even with 2 ships, you can't kill a 66. Well, then I might recommend single shipping the 64. All right. This is going to be one of those your mileage may vary kind of things. All right. Just to kind of see what you can do, because loot all obviously matters. All right. But you are going to want to punch up, because this survivor chest and win chest loot table was actually designed pretty daggone well. For example, going from a 48 to a 50 is literally double. Your winner's chest goes from 560 to 1100. So the incentive is there to kill the next one up, even if you have to single ship go them down. Right? Or even if you have to use 2 ships. Sorry, is what I meant to say. Because the raw loot in those armadas is more than made up for by the starter chest. Plus, as you point out, that's correct, Carissa, there is loot gain research to help you with the raw loot that exists in the Armada. So you're always going to want to punch up. But that's not all. From 50 to a 52. That Widder's chest goes up from 1,100 to 4,000.
Woohoo!
So you definitely want to punch up. Even if you single ship the 50, you are not going to make up for the loot loss going to the 52. Okay? Because the wind chest has 4x the loot, but also the raw loot in that Armada also increases between 300 and 400%. Plus, of course, you've got the loot research, or the favor. Not research, but the favor. Yes. Okay. And in case anybody's curious about that favor, it does exist inside the DTI faction store. It takes charged credits, so that is why I have focused on it up here up front. It's called temporal material scanning. It costs charged credits, at least at level 1 and 2. I don't know about level 3 yet, but it increases static and charged temporal wreckage gained from the super weapons. You can get the first 2 levels unlocked relatively early. The third one is going to require detective, which is going to be a minute. All right. Mimi says false. Which one is false?
Credits?
Wait.
It takes static credits.
Oh, was it static? Sorry.
Yeah.
Static credits.
Maybe that's what she's saying false about.
Man, I'm glad I didn't just buy that pack. Man, I was half a second away.
All right.
Oh,
Static
the other
credits. Sorry
one.
about that. My bad. Static credits. Okay.
Lord have mercy.
Woo, that was close. All right. Now, so this, by the way, is one of the earliest favors I'm going to recommend you go for. Temporal material scanning. Because that is also going to help you sustain this loop. Okay? I thought that as well, Shiz. He says supposedly it switches eventually on the credits required for the favor. I don't think anybody's gotten there yet. Jules, do we know that?
Let's find out.
No. Don't do that. Don't do that. Hold on.
I'm in it right now. It's right here.
No. Just. Oh, there he goes.
The first 2 levels are static, so by the time it switches, we may not be feeling quite the pinch on either of these credits as we are right now. So
that's true.
Matters. That's the second definition of static that you've used in the last 10 minutes. Normally, that would not be a problem. However, when we're talking about things that are literally static or charged, saying something hasn't changed is not helpful.
Yeah, here I am on
right
tier
now.
3 going to tier 4. And it does require
static.
I am on
charged.
tier 3 going to tier 4, and it does require charged materials, 5,520.
Going to the whale cam. Take a look at the whale cam. Hold on. Let's update the chart. Go to the whale cam. There we go. It does indeed require. Wait. No, that's. Wait, those are charged. Yeah. All right. So it requires charge.
Charged.
Yeah. Lightning bolt is charged. Wavy lines is static. For some reason.
Lightning bolt is charged. Like this.
Jules, did you get both of those?
By the way,
I know you're in the chat, even if you can't listen.
We have something kind of like this kill deal where you can see both of our screens, but when you do that, then you can't really see either screen real well.
Okay.
Like, nobody can read my screen right now unless I zoom super in, and then But anyway.
Okay, now Jules is swearing at us. So
Jules, why are you swearing? What did I do? He says, "Look at the spreadsheet. Where am I? Where was I wrong on the spreadsheet? I was looking for the favors. I don't see the favors. Where are the favors? Rep, credits, encrypted exchange, legend for Griffin. There's a legend for Griffin in here. Look at that.
There's a legend for Griffin. What do I?
Celebrate good times. Come on.
Yeah.
Come
Abbreviations legend.
Okay, here they are. Here are the favors right here. So temporal material scanning, available both at Rookie, 3,000, 4,080 at Rookie, and these are purple, which means what?
The color code is right next to the word
color
favor
uses static credits. All right. Level 3 uses charged credits, 5,520.
Oh,
Okay.
it charged,
level
charged
4
like
is locked
electricity
on
is
temporal material scanning
normally.
now.
Yeah, so the yellow color uses charged, which is the lightning bolt ones. What? Yeah.
Good
Okay.
color coding, Jules.
Yeah, nice job. That's a good legend right there, buddy. It's a
Good legend. Thank you.
Nice job. Yo, Kill Deal. Thanks for dropping 10 gifted. See, he likes the whale cam there. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, see, we've got it set up. You just can't see mine as well as you. I mean, it's a lot of landscape, right? It's a lot of landscape to fill in. Perhaps if I did that might help a little bit. And then if I did that would help a little bit. Okay, yeah, that helps a little bit.
There you go.
And Canine Tooth does 7440 static.
All right,
for
Canine
T4?
Tooth is saying level 4, 7440 static for tier 4. And does that require Chief Detective, or are you still able to do it at Detective? Where are you at with that?
Special Agent is required for tier 4.
Oh, I see. Oh, it's already there. Ha! Canine Tooth, he already has it. We're going to need you to spend a little bit more money. We need to know what level 5 is. All right. Can you
How does he already have that? How does he already have that faction rep?
Well, I mean, he probably played shenanigans with the faction pack.
Oh, man.
You're just going to have to wail harder.
Did you buy
buddy.
the wrong pack?
He's just going to have to wail harder. Come on now.
What faction pack?
He probably like quadruple or quintuple bought that pack.
I don't even have a faction pack.
There's a pack for that.
There was 2 in
There's-
the store. You could buy only one of them, so it was a little confusing. There was a DTI Ultimate pack and a DTI Reputation pack, and anyone that bought the Reputation pack got less reputation than is in the DTI Ultimate pack with the credits. So, and apparently, there's a tooltip on those packs that say you can buy only one of them.
Canine Shorts is suggesting that Griffin needs to be replaced by Canine Tooth as a superior whale. Can we upgrade our whale cam? Can we upgrade the whale cam to Canine Tooth? I'm kidding. Obviously, that was terrible.
You really want to pull that on me after Thursday, pal? Come on, let's go.
Right. I'm ready for 20 ka-chings.
No, I'm joking.
What a jerk.
I'm joking. It was funny. Ha ha. Laughy laugh. Yeah, see? You got the little. See, that's in there too. All right, everything's fine. Don't worry about a thing. All right.
Fine. Don't mind me. I'll just be participating in last month's loop because I'm not a big enough whale to
The Canine cam coming up, everybody. I know, Donzino, I'm laughing at poor Griffin's expense. It's fine. He's done a great job.
Where's Cruzito? This is a banner moment for him.
Yeah, he likes making fun of you. So there's that.
Yeah, he sure does.
All right. So
Griffin's happy that he's not green.
let's talk about the officers then. Okay. Actually, before we do that, let's come in and focus in on the faction store. Okay, what you've got to do. Thank you for your positive energy. Even though the sound alerts aren't working, not exactly sure why. Actually, I think I do know why, but I can't do anything about it while OBS is still open and active because my monitor.
It's okay. It's
virtual
okay.
cable.
Drop the shovel. It's okay. They don't work today. No problem.
The sound alerts don't work today. Okay. Anyway, so we're in the DTI faction store. Okay.
Okay.
First thing that you're going to want to do, you can do this every single day. It's a free redeem, cost you nothing. We're going to come up here. We're going to claim these temporal incursion directives. They are giving you 100 a day free drip. And have we found a cap on this yet? I don't believe
Not yet.
we have.
No cap.
So,
I've not seen a cap.
Juby, why would you do that? I just told you sound alerts aren't working. You just did a TTS. And okay, hang on. I can read it. Send your own message. Dr. Juby writes, Griffin needs to step it up. When Griffin goes shopping, he always takes a penny and never leaves one. Dongle, dongle, dongle.
Wow. Excuse me, sir. I left around 3 million pennies in the Monroe Carroll jar not 1 month ago. So
3
don't
million
know what you're
pennies.
talking about.
3 million. Did you roll them all up or did you just bring them in like glass jugs?
No, they were in bags.
There you go.
Loosely sorted.
By the way, I am going to point out very quickly, for those of you who just taking a small little time out, this jacket that I'm wearing right here is actually courtesy of my friend Griffin. This is the Picard Hero Within jacket from Picard season 3 or season 2. Season 2?
Early birthday present. Happy birthday. They were in all 3 seasons.
They wore them in all 3 seasons. This is an amazing jacket. I mean, an absolutely amazing jacket.
I have the same one.
Oh, it's a great jacket. And it's warm.
That liner's awesome.
Oh, the liner on the inside is great. I could try to show it to you, but this is see,
it's
look.
like a Starfield. It's a blue Starfield
it says
jacket.
Picard. See it under there? It's from Hero Within. It's a great jacket.
Oh, wait, no, not quite the same. But
it makes me look cool. As a matter of fact, can I show you a little something?
Yeah, let's see what happened. I heard you wore it on the DJ stream.
I wore it on Studio B stream the other night, and I feel like I feel like I actually looked like a real DJ. All right,
I love that.
Yeah, here, let me see if I can pull this up for you here a little bit. Yeah, it's a little bit granular. Not exactly sure, but yeah, look, I wore the jacket on the DJ stream. It was
very nice.
It was
very
fantastic.
Slick.
Why is that so blurry? Look at me grooving. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's a
I love that.
Great looking jacket, man. All right. I love the jacket. I just have to work on the eyebrows. All right. But yeah, once I get that
the eyebrows should come back.
What
but,
eyebrows?
I do like the bald head. I do.
I'm kind of liking it, to be honest with you. My hair is growing back. Look, I mean, it's
you should
coming
shave
back.
that again. You should get that electric shaver, that Norelco, and just go to town.
I don't know. I haven't decided if I'm going to keep it yet or not. I mean, I don't mind the bald head, but as the chat keeps pointing out, my head is oddly shaped, and it looks weird.
Your
under
head
my
is
headphones.
not oddly shaped. Stop it. Hey, Iron Fister, what's up? It is not oddly shaped. It's a head.
Hold on. Oh, I should probably fix that. Got a wiring problem. My headphones. It's probably going to shock me at one of these.
Wiring problem in his head.
Anyway, if I just wear the headphones, they're crooked. They actually look almost.
They are crooked.
They almost look almost straight today, but no, they are crooked. All right, that's because I have a crooked, pointy head. So I'm not sure. I'll probably bring hair back. Count DeVille says it's only like 11 degrees off axis. Thanks, appreciate that. Fisty says, I love how it's a great jacket and Star Trek to the people that recognize it, but not so garish like wearing a spacesuit everywhere. Yeah, so I traded is what I did. You remember when I tried on my Voyager one, it was way too small. And then Griffin tried on his Picard one, it was way too big. So we traded. But
it's a match made in heaven.
I think I got the better end of that deal, to be honest with you. This is a great jacket.
By far you did, because you can't wear that Voyager jacket out in public.
No.
It's like a bright mustard yellow, and it's got the patches on it, and it's great for the cruise, but not a whole lot else.
Yeah, this is a great jacket. I love this jacket.
I'm glad you like it, buddy.
Thank you.
That's good. That makes me very happy.
So anyway, yeah, that was awesome. I wore it in Studio B. It was great. All right.
But keep your head shaved. It looks great, dude. It really does.
I'm thinking about it. I'm not sure. Vul says, where can we get that Picard jacket? Are they available? I don't know if they're available for sale right now, but they are sold by a company called Hero Within. Now, I don't know if they are taking orders on this at this particular moment. Here, we could take a look real quick. I don't mind to do that at all. They're a cool partner. I don't have any kind of sponsorship with them. Just throwing this out there. I don't have any kind of monetization deal with them or anything. But
yet,
I don't know that I will. But nonetheless, they are phenomenal people. I've gotten to meet the actual owner of that company. He works very, very hard. He's obviously a huge Star Trek fan. So,
yeah, they're taking orders.
Are they? Good. I mean, they've got a ton of stuff in here. It's HeroWithinStore.com if you wanted to visit it out, visit it. And they've got just a ton of stuff. All right. Order a limited edition Section 31 pin. Ooh. I think I want one of those too. It's only $12.
Be sure to mention that you heard about them on Talking Trek. Not because there's any discounts, but we want to get DJs that sponsorship deal.
I don't know if there's comments in the checkout line or not, but there's all kinds of stuff in here within Hero Within. I was trying to find. I mean, they've got mugs. There's jackets. I was looking for the actual Picard jacket. I'm not exactly sure where it is.
It's called Premium Picard Field Jacket, $99.
Okay, premium. Trying to click on the search button. Here we go. Premium Picard jacket. Well, it looks like, yeah, so here's the premium Picard field jacket. They also have a basic Picard field jacket. I mean, it's $65. The premium's $99. This is on pre-order. Oh, no, that was just for December, so it looks like, well, are they actually available right now?
They are. I can place this order right now.
Okay.
Now, DJz is wearing the 4XL. They do fit kind of small. They size small. So if you normally take a large, for example, I'd recommend the XL or even the 2XL.
Yeah, they are sized pretty small. I'm wearing a 4X where I normally wear like a 2 or 3X. And then I ordered, I think, what did I order the Voyager jacket in? I think I ordered 3X, and it was snug even on you. So, I couldn't fit in it. Too big. I couldn't even fit in it. So, I mean, I tried it on when I was on screen, and it barely fit. But
anyway, Tony's got a good shop. It's a really good quality product. The material is great. The zipper is like a super high quality zipper. Everything that they put out is very good. So bookmark that page. They do sort of batch runs. So many of them will say sold out now, but if you email them, they can turn that off and allow you to place the order. So sold out is not necessarily sold out. You just got to send an email to Tony and his team, and they could probably help you out there.
Yeah, and this is I joke about the endorsement, but this is one that I'm more than happy to give because they're phenomenal folks. We got to interview him when we were in Nashville. I don't know if you guys saw it on the. Did we actually air that interview? I mean, we did, right? We did it live. Yeah. I don't think we put a video together on. We interviewed him live.
I believe we did.
So yeah, he is a phenomenal guy. Great product, and I would love more than anything for you guys to hook yourselves up with some of that stuff. And yeah, if there is a comments field, you could let them know you heard about it here. But again, not helping us out or doing anything for our channel. It's just a great product that I'd love to recommend to you. So that is HeroWithinStore.com. All right.
No, that is not the one that had all the pins, Omicron. That's a different vendor. I can go through the notes and I'll let you know who that was.
Yeah, I've got some notes on that too. I've actually got a couple of those pins here. Actually, I think I've got them all packed up because I travel with them. Is when I go. So yeah, so we'll let you know about that as well. Anywho, back to the yes, meow. I am live. Hello. All right, back to the DTI faction store. Okay, so we're gonna pull our one start a day every single day. It's on a 22-hour cooldown. We're also gonna pull this DTI requisition form 13A. This is basically a token to redeem for an exo comp. All right. This is the token that you redeem one free per day that you can then turn in for one of two exo comps. They are not automatically activated. So you want to be very careful in the one that you're going to choose. For example, if you need static wreckage because you want static credits so that you can get the loot gain favor, then you're going to choose the anti-static Krenim invaders. That way you can go kill the statics, get the static wreckage, bring it in here, and then redeem for the right here, is it? Yes?
Mm-hmm.
No, that was charged. Static right here.
Not that one.
Yeah, this one. Okay? So you're gonna use that requisition form, which basically lets you one exo a day, and there is a cap of 7. Yes, Shaughnessy, there is a cap of 7 exos. Well, let me rephrase. There is a cap of 7 requisition forms. Now, the reason I point out that that it's not an automatically activated exo is because you can indeed hoard. All right? You can buy an exo without spending it.
Yeah.
And
that's not even.
Go ahead.
That's not even really the bottleneck anyway out there, audience. What we're really after is that directive, that start, because that is once per day. One thing we did learn in the conversation with game design is that they're really looking at this more of as a weekly model of engagement instead of a daily model. And in that case, these exocomps, they last a good, 20 minutes, DJ?
Well, 21 minutes, 21 minutes and 40 seconds, which is weird. Don't understand that yet, but
so if you follow that logic, you pop one exocomp per week after you have collected your 7 daily starts, you hit your 7 or your 7 entities in that span of 20 minutes, and you really only needed the one exocomp to engage in that whole entire week. So that's sort of the model that we're going for here.
The problem. See, now, I don't necessarily agree. Spectre says the 20-minute limit on the EXO is too low. I don't agree with that because you can get a 20-minute EXO every day. Like, you could literally get a 20-minute EXO for each directive you get. So I don't agree that is too low. However, the problem that you have with that bulk play, Griffin, is the spawning and the shared systems. Okay? That's the problem. All right?
Well, in that case, that's why you have at least one of each in that time frame, so you can bobble from one to the other, no problem.
Correct. You could bounce back and forth.
Aren't they also combat exocomps, so you can just relight another one while you're still out if you need?
Well, combats, combats don't ever.
Time doesn't matter.
That's right. You don't have to be. You don't have to be docked. You can even wait till you get there to pop it because it's a combat exo. Now, just in so there's 2 comments that I want to make about the exos. Okay. One is that they are not automatically activated. So even if you hit your max on requisition forms, you should still buy an EXO. At this point, we do not know that there is a cap on the EXOs. As far as we can see, there aren't any. So you should never let yourself time out on the requisition forms. Just use them and buy the EXOs as you go. All right. Second thing that I want to point out about the EXOs is exactly what Broken Wolf is asking about in the chat and exactly what Everywhere It Matters and the Lab Rats have been working on over in the Talking Trek Laboratory. Matters, do you care to share with the class what you guys have learned so far and the testing that you've done so far, and you might be able to solicit some assistance in some of this testing? Long and short of it is, you guys were experimenting with running both EXOs, right?
Yes. That's exactly what we were doing. Based on the wording of everything, things were so very vague. Nothing ever said Crenum specific. The EXO applies a state, but the Crenums themselves don't already have the opposing state. So my hypothesis was that you could actually pop both simultaneously and not only be able to hit both types of Crenum in that 21 minutes, but possibly even get the damage boost from both favors against all of them. We haven't been able to test that conclusively yet. People just don't have the favor high enough to be super noticeable. And I just didn't have the time over the weekend. I was able to talk to some people and ask to give them some instructions as to what to do, but I haven't been able to sit down. And I also didn't have 2 of the favors available, both favors available to me. But I will
what
be able
specifically
to
were you looking for in that? Because I have run both favors at the same time. And what test were you trying to run to prove?
Taking a look here at the favors in the DTI store. Let me answer this graphically here. All right, for those of you in podcast form, there are 2 favors. Quantum static disruption, which increases damage when the opponent has the static state. And then there's quantum charge dispersion, which increases damage when the opponent has the charge state. Now, the theory that we're running with is the invading entities themselves do not have an inherent state. What you are doing when you activate an EXO is you are applying that state to that target. All right? So I want to come back into this system. where we've got the static and the charge. Let's read these abilities very carefully. All right. The ability of a static super weapon simply states this. It will increase isolytic damage each round if the charged state effect is not present. Now, let's go back. If we're attacking a static super weapon, we use the anti-static exocomp. What does the anti-static exocomp do?
It applies the charged effect.
It applies the state of charged. Where are you going? You want inside? Okay, love you. It applies the charged effect. Now, from the Armada's perspective, or from the super weapon's perspective, in this case, a static, if the charged state effect is present, then it won't increase its isolytic damage. Okay? Now, if we take a look at a charged super weapon, its ability is exactly the opposite. A charged super weapon requires the anti-charged exocomp. The anti-charged exocomp is applying the static state. This Armada, or this invading entity, will increase its apex barrier if the static state is not present. Now, neither one of these have a state, and neither one of them do anything if the other state is applied.
Well, that's why I was saying if you wait once a week and you save up all of your directives, you pop. That's why you have these multi-purpose exocomp slots. You can run both the charged and the static at the same time, and you can have your way with either enemy. And the best part about it is because they are combat exocomps, that does leave the combat exocomp slot at the top open. And what you do with that is you go back in and you hit that 1 hour, 1500% invading entity damage boost exocomp, and you're running all three at the same time, and you're just waylaying everything.
So nobody disagrees with that.
Only, though.
Nobody disagrees with that. Here's the science that we're trying to prove/disprove. If the Armada has no reaction to the alternative state, as in a static entity requires the charged state for its ability not to go off. But what happens if you apply the static state to it? Does anything happen at all? The Armada does not talk about the static state. It only talks about the charged state. But if I have the static state on that Armada, or on that entity, I keep saying Armada, if I've applied both charged and static to it, do I get the benefit of the exo twice? In other words, if I'm at level 2 on static and level 2 on charge, do I get 1,000% from charged and 1,000% from the static bonuses, giving me a 2,000% damage buff against the entity? And this is the science that we are experimenting with currently in the lab, because if that's the case, then the correct way to run this is to always run with simultaneous exos. Because what you'll effectively do,
you get so many per week.
What you'll effectively do is double your damage ability. Now, the question is, does that work? Can the invading entity assume more than one state? Is it possible? Or is it just going to be one versus the other? That's the testing that we're trying to come up with right now. Because if you can apply both states, then guys, there is a strategic advantage, one that you will want to use. And the reason that I think it's almost Retro Fury, the reason I don't think that's a bug is because these are so daggone hard. They are so
it's for sure not
hard.
A bug.
I don't think it's a bug. All right. They're giving you the tools to increase your damage.
I'm not sure it was intended, but I don't think it's a bug. I mean, that is working the way that they set it out to work. It's not a bug. It's just maybe not intended. But either way,
I think it is intended. I think it is intended.
I mean, you got to look at
it's all having.
Well, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but you look at the damage gap between these levels of hostile. I don't think it's unintended at all. You got to have some oomph behind you. Go ahead, Griffin.
It's in the economy of the feature. The design is to give you one run per day. So you save them up to where you have a week's worth. You then have one exocomp per day that you can pull, which means you have up to 3 of one, up to 4 of the other. It's inherent within the game design that you can run both at the same time. And it's within the scope of the game designer's mind who wrote this content for you to participate in this weekly, not daily. So if you pop both exos, plus even the 1,500% damage expo, then you're talking, you can get up to 4, 5, 6,000% at some point. And that's how you truly punch up and save all the time in this game. So that's the way that you're meant to engage with this particular loop. And that's why I disagree with calling it 2 loops, because if you run the 2 exos at the same time, you're just going ham in the system and you're hitting anything with a 64 on it, for example, or whatever your number is, and you're cashing it all in at the refinery. Done.
I don't necessarily disagree with that. I would even be convinced to retract the double loop statement if
I was right all along.
I would retract the double loop statement if indeed this is how it works. All right, because if you can apply both states to a target, and by the way, in ship combat, you can apply hull breach and burning to the same target. Now, we don't know if invading entities work the same. Well, let me rephrase. We know that the chimeras do. You can apply burning and hull breach to the chimeras. These are technically built the same way. The difference is the actual state themselves. The charged and the static states are not hull breach and burning. However, if they are coded the same way, which we have no reason not to believe that that is the same. Well, what?
Well, we know they're coded a little bit differently.
How so?
So another thing I wanted to test, and I was able to test, was, again, because of the vagueness of the wording of the tooltips, was to see if you could apply charged and static to other hostiles that aren't Krenim and get the benefit of the favor against them. Because nowhere does it ever actually say it only works against Krenim. It says the opponent. You apply charge.
Yeah, that I have not tried. I have no idea. Yeah.
So I tried.
No. It does. It says Krenim super weapons. Okay, take a look here on the screen. Not the state, but the state doesn't do anything. The damage exos that rely on the state do say Krenim.
Where? Click on it.
Holy smokes, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. It says the enemy, right? Or the opponent.
Opponent.
Yeah, but I tested it and it doesn't work.
Oh.
So that I was really excited about. Unfortunately, that does not work.
What did you test it
loaded
on?
Up a Rialta. I loaded up a Rialta and I hit just hostiles in the system that I was based in.
Okay.
So it does not work against non-Armada hostiles for sure. I have yet to check and see if it'll work on Armadas or possibly
PvP.
The Chimeras.
PvP too. All right.
Yeah,
now,
I mean, if it didn't work in non-Armada hostiles, I'm going to assume it's not going to work in PvP and it's not going to work against yellow bosses.
All right.
It's possible it could be limited to Armadas or limited to just invading entities or limited to just Krenim.
All right. I do have some information for you straight out of the lab live. DJz has given us the data. Take a look at this particular screenshot, folks, and I'm going to put this in the graphics room. The time is exactly 10:32 p.m. Eastern time. This first screenshot that I'm going to show is showing him in a loss against a level 64 with roughly 50% of the enemy's hull taken down. All right, this was a fresh enemy start, and he took down about half. All right. Then he comes in with this second screenshot and takes it down almost 80%. Now, what do we think the difference was? I guarantee you.
The second exocomp.
The second exocomp, if DJz has levels on both of those favors. So here comes the magic question, DJz. If you applied both exos, do you, in fact, have damage from both quantum static disruption and quantum charge disruption. Be a little bit more clear than Griffin's the winner. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Daystros does indeed have both of them at level 2. So he's got quantum static at level 2, quantum charge at level 2. So if the first screenshot is where he had only one of the exos active, that's why he only got half the hull. If in the second one he activated both exos, he got the damage boost from both of those favors, and indeed did more damage to hull with both exos running. So there you go.
It's black and white right
we'd
there.
Have to, well,
Are you sure it's not
black
RNG?
and white. Like with someone like Josh on your bridge, who is a chance proc to double your shots. We'd have to delve into the logs more to make sure. It's promising. It certainly leans in the direction.
Look
of
at how many
yes,
how many tens of billions of difference in power are you talking about, though? That's not RNG.
The difference
look
was
at the difference.
120.
No, doubling shots is doubling your net damage output, whereas 1,000% damage boost is maybe going to be a 5% increase net. So we still
It's going to be more
verify.
it'll be more than 5%. However, I do agree that the data it's still not conclusive. I will agree with Matters. It is not conclusive because you've got
chance-based stuff.
Yeah, you've got some other things to look at. Here's how you would do it. Just send us the logs, right? Because if the individual shots were doubled, then we know. All right, so that's what we need to see. We need to see the size of the shots in both of those battle logs early.
Yeah.
Like round 1 or round 2 before any time for growth or anything like that. We've got to see that the size of his shots as compared to the number of his shots when it comes to DJz. That being said, it does look like he did better. He did 120 billion more damage on the hull, but that could have been because of the shots. All right.
Yeah.
So we don't know that yet, but it does look promising, and this is why we say this is good. This is good hypothesis work for what we're working on in the lab, and looking for you guys to kind of help us out with. And again, mileage may vary, right? We keep saying that, Tarpy. Your mileage may vary. This is something that we are posing as a strategic possibility, community, for you guys to try. It could be something that you guys actually get some benefit out of, which running both of the exos. And as the game designer has already told us, it is not intended to be a daily run. You are intended to use your max fortification. Have you guys noticed how cheap the Armada quick starts on these things? Like, that is the more proof that they're meant to be played in bulk. They are meant to be played quickly, back to back, Lorca's Fist, max fortify, both the exos, work both the favors, clear out the system. Like, that's how it's supposed to be, especially when we come into the store and realize, Griffin, that you really need both amounts of loot pretty equally. Beck even said at the very beginning that there will eventually come a converter where you will be able to move charge to temporal or charge to static credits, and then static to temporal credits, static to charge credits, if indeed you've stacked up on one versus the other.
Yes, I have that right here on the whale cam. I can spend 100 charged to get 80 static, and vice versa.
Oh, so there's a tax on it.
There is a 20 unit tax. Yes.
Oh, we almost had a good solid model. I'm kidding.
Hey, but it's only a 20% tax.
Oh, it's only. I know. Well, there you go. Nonetheless, very, very interesting use and mechanics within this store and how you should be using it. Now, you should also be using those credits. Obviously, very simply put, you should be using those credits every single day to buy your reputation. Yes, indeed, I am recommending that you buy both of the reputation bundles. They are very, very cheap in the number of credits that it requires. And again, if you are hitting on your level, then you will find it possible to pull a large number of these relatively frequently. I'm not going to be able to do it every single day. You're not going to be able to do it every single day, okay? But look, if you look inside the charged DTI credits and the static DTI credits, you're going to see that one chest costs $470,000. One chest, $470,000. On the other hand, 4 chests cost exactly double that. 4 chests will get you $940,000. They are rewarding the horde. Okay? So, yes, I recommend you spending, at least at my level, it's $940,000 at a time for my ops. All right? But you are not going to be able to do that every day, especially not early in this loop. Maybe eventually. All right? But early on in this loop, you are not going to be able to do the 4 chest pull every single day. But as long as you can, you're pulling a couple of thousand of these credits out of here. So what do you then do with the credits? Well, reputation, absolutely. Me personally, I am currently skipping the syndicate and the credits, the faction credits, so that I can focus on the favors. Once I get the favors to a point where I'm satisfied for my current level of rep, I could then look at maybe some of the other rewards that come, but I will eventually come back, just like I have with Wave Defense, and start throwing it into Syndicate or throwing it into to credits that I need. Eventually. I will also point out, as of this time of taping, the Krenum Time Weapon does not have a cooldown. Meaning that if you, sorry, I just dropped my little fidget toy. If you have enough credits, then you will be able, upon unlocking Detective, to essentially immediately unlock the artifacts, which are the Krenum Time Weapon and Janeway's Pocket Watch. They don't have
and those are both
cooldowns.
very, very good. They're very good.
They don't have cooldowns, guys.
They're very good.
As a matter of fact, I saw, and Jules, help me out with this. I don't remember where I saw it, but I did see somebody actually math out the number of credits necessary. All right. And by the way, Shiz says...
It was Istio.
Huh? It was Istio? All right. Do we have that screenshot? Do you have it? Istio.
It's in the lab somewhere.
Well, in the lab somewhere. There's a lot in the lab. Can you summarize for me? Here we go. Here, maybe this is it. Nope, that's not it. I don't know where it was, but they actually counted out the number of credits necessary to immediately unlock the Krenum Time Weapon and immediately unlock Janeway's Pocket Watch. Here it is. The Chrono... No, wait. It was the Krenum Time Weapon is 100...
And the Chronophage?
Yeah, the Chrono Deflector. So this is what Tarpy wrote. Krenum Time Weapon is 120 static and 800 to get to tier 8. I'm confused. That doesn't make any sense to me. 96,000 static credits. Is that what you're saying? But the Chrono Deflector was only 6,000 charged credits. What about Janeway's Pocket Watch? Did we look into that one? So Chrono Deflector, 6,000. Krenum Time Weapon, 96,000. Apparently pulling the Chrono Deflector 4 times will allow you to unlock it, and you can max the Krenum Time Weapon if you had 96,000 static credits, which if you spent, then you probably do. And you'd be able to do that. So there you go. They have no cooldowns, essentially, is what it is. Not from a one-time claim. You have a one-time claim here, but you also have this one, which is 5 shards at a time. And they unlock at Special Agent. So you've got this one, which is 15 shards at Detective. But then you also have 5 shards at a time of Special Agent, and this one has no cooldown. Same thing for the Chrono Deflector. Chrono Deflector has a one-time claim. And then it also...
It's for 45
right
of them.
here.
Yep.
Yeah, and at Special Agent, same thing. It's got an unlimited pull for static at Special Agent. We don't yet know what it's going to look like for Janeway's Pocket Watch or the Chronophage. That's a little bit later in the rep gain, in the rep battle, so we'll investigate that a little bit later. All right. So there is a lot of strategy and some very interesting things to learn and be earned inside of this faction store. Okay.
Well, and you're not done yet. There's still one more little loop in there too, which is the encrypted
reputation.
exchange.
Yeah. So, Griffin, you are the area's resident expert when it comes to reputation. Can you explain how the reputation loop works inside this store? I'll turn on your webcam for you to navigate.
It's very, very simple. In the upper right-hand corner, you have this encrypted intelligence, or the thing that looks like the presence, the little white present in the red background. Exchange for FKR reputation in the faction store gained from Krenin weapon ships. So when you kill the ship, you get some of this currency. And this is something else that you bring into the store. And at my level, I am exchanging 50 million of those for, at my, again, stage, both I get 50 million positive Federation, 50 million positive Klingon, no negative. At one point in the very near future, I'll be able to unlock the Romulan component, and then I'll be getting 50 million of all three of them just for that one turn in. And you progress, as you progress, I think it's through the building. That's how you end up unlocking. I unlocked Fed first, Klingon second, and I'm about to unlock Romulan third here with this Romulan.
That's exactly right.
Reverence.
That's exactly right.
That's going to require.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm done.
Well, I was going to point out, if you take a look, where do you earn the encrypted intelligence? That actually comes from the super weapons, all right? In addition to your charged or static wreckage, you also get encrypted intelligence. You get that every single time you kill one. So to use that encrypted intelligence is also inside the DTI faction store. You would use those over, and that's going to unlock. I think I don't have it unlocked yet. Here it is. Nope, that's yeah. So I have mine unlocked, which is just Romulan right now. So I'm getting 25 million per chest because of my ops level. But as you do level up that building, you are getting the next level, it looks like, is going to come at level 45 of the DTI building. That's when you're going to get this beta token, which will give you the 100 epic intelligence credits that will allow you then to come over and unlock the next one, whether it be Klingon or Romulan Reverence. These are down here, okay? The Federation Reverence requires the encrypted, the epic encrypted, which is what you're going to get when you level up your building high enough to get this encrypted intelligence threat level beta. All right.
Correct.
Now,
and it's a 1-to-1. So you get 1 billion of that loot from killing the Krennims. You can count on 1 billion of each faction's positive rep gain, which is the whole purpose of that. And I forget, I'm going to pull mine right now and tell you what the cooldown is. I'm pulling 20 chests for 1 billion. That's just going to give me a total here of 1 billion Klingon, 1 billion Fed. That's done. And the
should be a 1 day
on it is
1 day, I
think so. I think you're right. Let's see. It's a 22-hour cooldown.
This is Canine Tooth's reputation that he's got banked up there. 15 billion. It'd be enough to instant max an entire thing. Is it 15 billion? No, it's 500 billion now. 15 billion was the original one. Yeah. Woo, it's a lot. So there you go. That is your strategy and your use inside the store. Now let's talk about the actual invading entities themselves. We've talked about their abilities, how the states work. All right, with the static weapons or the static invading entities, these are the ones that will increase their isolated damage if you don't run the exocomps. And let me just say, this is an ability that you should never, ever, 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 ever worry about, because you should always, 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 always be running the exocomps, unless you're Canine Tooth. There's
no reason not to.
He killed him without the exocomps for whatever reason. I don't know. But you should always have them, okay? Run those. You never have to worry about the first ability. What's the second ability? Simple round cap. The static ones have a round cap of 50. The charged have a round cap of 30. In both of those scenarios, what does that mean? Griffin, we got to kill them hard. We got to kill them fast, right? Hit them hard.
That's right.
Don't
waste your time.
Don't waste time.
Get out.
That's right. So if we are looking to kill them fast, we are looking typically at damage output. maximizing the damage
We
output.
are.
Now, you obviously have to mitigate a little bit of their damage. You got to have a little bit of defensive skill in there. You've got to be able to survive them a little bit. But the point is not to outlast them because you've got a round limit. The point is to take them down quickly. Okay?
And that's why you need that quantum static disruption for both charged and for static. You need those favors unlocked as high as you can. That's one way of doing it. That 1500% damage bonus exocomp, if you have that as well, running all three at the same time, that'll do it. And then that building, DJs, I'm not even at level 50 yet, and I'm getting an over 6,000% damage increase against the Krenim as well. So there are many ways. You add all three of those up, and you can get up like 8, 9, 10,000% damage increase on these suckers.
Yeah. Now, Vic says offense wins championships. You could say that if you weren't a Green Bay fan.
Oh, I see what
you could say that if you weren't a Green Bay fan. Today they got rocked by Philadelphia's defense. That being said, let's talk about the crew. Okay? Let's talk about the crew and what you're wanting to actually do. I am running my two best ships. As I mentioned earlier, it's in my Enterprise D and as my Deradex. All right. As far as this first ship, my stronger of the two is my Enterprise D. Matters helped me devise this crew on screen the other night. And by the way, he is using something a little bit different in his crewing because he's using a G6 ship. The firing pattern is different. So again, Tarpy, this is going to come down to one of those your mileage may vary kind of scenarios. All right. But I would say that if you're not using G6 ships, because there is a difference, then I am looking at this being a good starter crew for G5 down. I should also point out that Matters has DeMarco, which is going to also matter specifically. I do not have Gwen DeMarco. I am having to use Catherine Janeway in my primary build, who basically does the same thing, just to a smaller scale. All right? But on my first ship, crazy enough, I'm running Picard, Beverly, Janeway. Picard is going back to the chart. What does Picard do for me? Well, if I come back to where did I put my chart? Where's the chart?
Please hold.
Here it is. No, I got it. If I'm coming back to my officer chart, here we go. Jean-Luc Picard's captain and officer ability both work. Well, that is phenomenal to know. What do they do? Let's check him out. His captain's maneuver is to increase the effectiveness of all officer abilities that trigger in combat by 120%, a.k.a. Pike. That's exactly right, Scott Quake. What is his officer ability? Increasing critical hit damage by 25%. That is phenomenal. And by the way, he's also going to get boosted by that synergy, so that's going to go up to over 50% because I'm going to get the 100% synergy from Beverly Crusher, whose officer ability is also increasing mitigation by a stat percentage of defense.
Ooh.
We were talking about stat officers. We're right back to it. Picard and Beverly are going to amplify one another because that's what they do. They've got that lightning personality that just feeds off of one another because they were secretly in love all those years. Anyway,
Not so secret.
And then you're going to have those abilities transferred over to Catherine Janeway, whose officer ability is to increase your cascade damage by 20%, which is going to be increased by the infamous 2.2%. So that's going to get me up closer to 50% cascade with Catherine Janeway. Cascade is increasing my damage, my isolytic damage, which is multiplied then back on top of itself. So I'm getting extra isolytic damage by running Janeway there with a Picard Bev amplifier. Below deck, it is an Enterprise, so I'm going to run Harry Kim, which is going to also get me extra critical damage from my Fleet Commander Kirk. I'm running B'Elanna Torres for my hull breach. It's also my largest ship, so it's going to proc first. And by the way, remember, this matters, okay? You want your hull breach to be on your more powerful of the two ships so that it procs first. If my Deradex was a stronger ship, I'm actually going to move Torres to that. Torres needs to be on the stronger of the two ships. And that's correct. Paulo says you only need one of them to have hull breach, which is correct, but you want it to be on the strongest one.
Stronger how? By damage per round or by total power? What are you talking about?
Just power. All right. When we're talking about stronger in power, we're talking about how the Armada ranks your ships in your battle log. All right. If you go and do a solo Armada with 3 ships, 2 ships, whatever, you take a look. All right. It's going to be the stronger ship goes first. Okay. In this case, power equaling strength. That's right. Dock order does not matter. It is simply the order of operations in the ship. Remember when we first learned about Armadas way back when, all right, it has everything to do with your starters first, then your starred players in order of ship power, then your non-starred players in order of ship power. These solo Armadas are exactly the same way, okay? So, B'Elanna is going to go on my strongest of 2. I am also going to bring Vielle in. All right, Vielle is my Borg Hue, but for Armadas, she's going to increase my critical chance. I am looking at these Armadas throwing isolytic damage at me. All right, so I didn't say she won't proc to Haggis on the weaker one. I didn't say she wouldn't proc. All right, you're right. It's on round start, but guess whose procs work first? The largest ship. Which means if you have any other qualifiers on the first round, it will not get the benefit of the hull breach when it goes to start fighting. So, for example, what's a good example of this? If you've got B'Elanna on your second ship to Haggis, even though it's all round start, by the time that the first ship starts firing, in the case of isolytic and artifacts, it's already performed. It does matter. I am not wrong. We proved this. We proved this when artifacts came out. Artifacts are also a beginning of the round check. Okay? I'm not saying that it won't impact the shot. I'm saying it's going to impact anything else that requires hull breach at pre-round check or at round start check. That is exactly accurate. If you go in and you test, all right, B'Elanna Torres procking, you will see your artifacts specifically that require hull breach will not fire. You're right, though, Lexel. Both ships fire after round start, but your artifacts and other conditional items are checking at round start. So you're going to get that shot. What you're not going to get is your isolytic boost. Because the artifacts are checking at round start. Okay? So that matters. It might be not huge. It's going to be whatever the value of your artifacts are, though. And artifacts, in my book, they're valuable. I'm getting tangled with wires. Okay? That matters.
Can I get that clean again? The artifacts charge around start.
What?
Can I get that line clean again? The artifacts charge at round start.
The artifacts are doing their proc check also at round start. Okay, so it has nothing to do with firing. All right, that's right. The artifacts check. Okay, so here's how it works, Lost In. I've got an interceptor, right? And it's first. It's first in order. It's going to check. The artifacts are going to check specifically the ones for if you're on an explorer and you have hull, and your enemy has hull breach, right? That's how those artifacts work. They're all at round start. But if I've got B'Elanna Torres on the second ship that's weaker, then when the first ship is going through its pre-round checks, the artifacts is going to say, okay, I've got an interceptor. Do I have hull breach on the enemy? No, I'm not going to get the benefit from that artifact. Okay? B'Elanna will impact hull breach at pre-round. So if she was on the primary ship, then she's going to inflict that state. Then the artifact is going to say, okay, you're on an interceptor. Does your enemy have hull breach? Yes. Now you get the isolytic. But if she's on the second ship, she's applying hull breach after ship number 1, which means you're going to miss your isolytic. Now, by the way, again, not a big deal. because it is only one round, right? If B'Elanna procs in the first round, well, no, that's not the case either, because she's only a single round proc. You're always going to miss that if she's not on your strongest ship. Okay? So you've got to have that there. Now, it's smarter to have your state procs on your number one power ship if you've got the dock space for it. By the way, Harry Kim doesn't matter. All right? Because he's morale for yourself. Okay? It doesn't really matter, Brett. But yes, it does apply to Kim, but Kim only applies morale to your own ship. So if you have an interceptor up here, it's checking to say, okay, are you in an explorer? No, then it doesn't matter. Because when Fleet Commander Kirk provides his critical damage boost, that's on the weapon fire, which is in the active part of the round. So Kim is going to be fine. But he also only affects that ship. I'm never going to get the extra critical damage on my Dederadex because I'm running Kim on the Enterprise. Okay? Now, Spock says in the interview the other day, game design said to put them on your second ship. Well, he was referring to a tank, which I don't think is how you play this feature. He referred to as an attack ship and then a support ship. I fundamentally disagree with that mechanic. Matters, I think you got to have two attack ships. I mean, what's the point in running a tank here? You need to kill it, right? And by the way, just throwing this out here, my opinion is also we don't have said tank yet. I don't know. Okay, I don't know. But my opinion is we already know that they're allowing two ships as compared to the Chimeras, which only allowed one. My gut tells me there's a ship coming. Okay? And by the way, it's not the Vindicator, because the Vindicator doesn't function against invading entities. It's armadas only. And these don't qualify. They've specifically told us that the Vindicator will not function. So it's not going to be the Vindicator. It'll be something else. All right? That being said, go ahead, Matters.
Again, like the like how to handle these again is really, really, really going to depend on the person. If somebody has two relatively closely strength ships, then yes, you don't want to kneecap one of them by making them a support ship when they're both capable of throwing out almost the same amount of damage. If though you don't have two, like your two most powerful ships aren't pretty close in power, then yeah, you're probably better off then at that point having one ship that is focusing on dealing as much damage as possible and another ship that's focusing on supporting it, generally with like Nesmith, I would say, but or other things, but it really depends on the player. Like these are so big and so powerful and so crazy that every single player, like no two people are running the same thing practically. Well, I guess two people are, but not everybody is running the same thing. You can't. There's no cookie cutter solution to these things that works for everybody.
I agree. Yeah. And that's why we threw this thing out. How do you crew the second ship? Well, that's why we were talking about the crew that does work. Listen, I'm going to give you the crew that's working for me. It's very different from the crew that's working for Matters, which is different than the crew that was working for Canine Tooth, which is different from the crew that's going to be working for Griffin. All right? So me, for example, on my number one damage dealer, I'm doing Picard, Beverly, Janeway. I'm trying to really amp up. I want that mitigation. Obviously, I have to survive. I want that mitigation from Beverly, but I need the cascade damage output from Janeway. I'm running Harry Kim for morale because it's an explorer. I've got B'Elanna Torres on there because I need my hull breach, and this is my largest ship. I've got Vielle on there. It just makes sense, all right? She is the Borg Hugh to Armadas, all right? I've got Ent-E Troy because I want extra damage. This ship is all about damage. I've got, by the way, we ran a test without Tom Paris. My mitigation was only at about 48%, 49%. We needed a little bit more oomph there because, again, these things are freaking massive. So are their stats. So I assisted Beverly with Tom Paris. And then I've got PICU in there for hull repair as I go along. I am fortunate. I've got 7 underdecks on this particular ship, so I can load it up. Not everybody has 7 underdecks, so you got to pick and choose. I would be focused on a good balance of survivability and damage output. Okay? For the record, why do we not use Chapel here? Just in a teaching moment. Why do I not have Chapel here? She's the isolitic queen.
No working against invading entities.
That's right. She doesn't work against armadas, invading entities, anything else. She's hostile only. Okay? So that is my ship number 1. Ship number 2 is my Dideridex. Now, this is where Matters and I will split greatly here. All right? I am not using Nesmith yet, although I'm being told that it's something I should consider. What I am having good luck with right now is DJz. All right? With specifically her officer ability, which is low. 30% chance to increase weapon shots doubled against invading entities for 2 rounds, but it's only 30% chance, and it proc checks every single round. All right, so I've got a 30% chance in round 1, then I got a 30% chance in round 2, and therefore and after, okay? That is my officer ability with her. I am also boosting her loot, which doesn't matter a great deal. I'm boosting her loot with Tolly, who is decreasing the invading entity's base mitigation by 200% of my defense every single round. By the way, let's ask a question here for the class. Does Tolly benefit just my Dideridex? Or does Tolly impact the target for the benefit of both of my ships? Tolly matters. Tolly is impacting the target, meaning that the decrease in its mitigation is going to increase my piercing for both ships. Now, Denver says Tolly really isn't going to do much because the 62s have billions of statistics. Yes, that is true, which is why Matters is going to suggest to me that I look at an alternative ship here for the Dideridex. But imagine Tolly at max, at 1,100%. Now we're going to start to do a little bit more. All right?
And this stackable. Every round is another 1,100%.
That's true. And I'm going to remind you that Tolly is kind of today's day and age, kind of like what 6 of 11 was way back in the day. 6 of 11 also impacted the target. Did I say that right? No, 6 of 11 was only your own ship. No. What was the one that impacted the target? It was
Ugly Kira.
Yeah, that's right. Imposter, Changeling Kira is what it was. All right. Retro Hunter agrees. Tolly is making a 0 difference right now. Okay? Tolly is nothing more than a rounding error, which is why Matters has said we need to relook at your second ship. All right? Which, by the way, I don't disagree. All right? I had some good luck with this, but again, mileage going to vary. So, one thing I do know that I need is mitigation. Doctor's going to go on the bridge. By the way, Doctor, another stat-based officer. Another stat-based officer. He's cumulative also, and he's using a large percentage of health. So over here, that doesn't belong there, and that doesn't belong there. That can be there. So over here, what I'm doing now is I do have Neelix on there for burning, because I am running into Dideridex. That's great. I've got Odo in there, but he does very, very little. Okay? A little, but not a whole lot. If I look at the rest of my below deck abilities, I'm not seeing a heck of a lot that I'm going to want to use here on what I would refer to as my tank. All right, so now I'm going to start stacking health. All right, I'm going to stack health down here so that I have tons and tons of health stats that is going to help my mitigation from the Doctor and allow Neelix and my Dideridex just to, that's right, I love it. Thank you for the reminder. Hammer, who, by the way, boosts health. It's his passive ability. So when I put Hammer on in a slot up here, it's going to automatically boost the health of all of my other stats. However, this is why we didn't run Hammer the other day. All right? My Hammer is tier 5. but I'm going to point out something that happens to my health stats. And by the way, he is passive, so you do Kobe. He works. He's a passive ability. All right, so he just works. It doesn't matter your target. Watch my health stats when I've got him on there versus not. With him on my ship, I've got 690,886. Okay, if I replace him with a health officer, in this case, I was going to use Devon Attendee, I am going to get extra health stats because she's just more powerful than him. But I'm getting more health stats out of her than Hemmer is giving me on bonus. Notice my health goes up 30,000 points with Tendy, despite the fact that Hemmer came off. And for those of you in podcast form, you're just going to have to experiment with this. Load up some stats, put Hemmer on, and then load up somebody else and just see what your stats do better. Okay? Watch my Neelix. Watch my Odo. When I put Hemmer on, this is how you know he works. He's passive. When you put them on, you'll see that Neelix and Odo both went up in their stats, but I still lost more stats by getting rid of Tendy. Now, if I get rid of Odo, well, I could look at doing that, but I am still not as high a health stat because Odo has really good health stats. Okay, if I'm looking at Odo, he's got 80,000 health stats to only 6,000 attack and defense. So despite the fact that I remove Odo and put Hemmer on there, I am still not gaining enough. So this is why I didn't use Hemmer the other day. Hemmer's not the right fit for me right now. What I would argue is the work that I need to do on the bridge here is going to involve something around the name Jason Nesmith. Jason Nesmith, as a captain, will decrease the invading entity's shield mitigation by 30%. By the way, again, I ask, does that affect my ship or the target?
The target.
It affects the target. If it's decreasing the shield mitigation, what is happening to my other ship? It's landing more damage. So Jason Nesmith belongs here. All right. But I don't have Gwen DeMarco. Gwen DeMarco is a perfect fit right here because, by the way, Dane is a mirror universe thing. Don't need that. Laliari is an Omega 13 thing. That's not going to help. I would, by the way, I'm fine to run Jason Nesmith by himself. I am, okay? Which means I need another side card over here. But, man, I would love to see Jason Nesmith with Gwen DeMarco.
But hold on, if he's full synergy, you're getting 90% mitigation off of him.
It is multiplicative, so it's 90% of the 80%. You'll never get to 0. Right? Now, I could run, if I ran Dane just for synergy only, then I'm going to get I'm going to get 45% on shield mitigation. By the way, Retro Hunter will point out that if you do have the slipstream, you can, in fact, get it to 0, which is true. But Jason Nesmith himself, even with synergy, cannot get you to 0. Okay? So, yeah, that's a totally different thing. So I would love to eventually be able to get Gwen DeMarco and put it here. But Jason Nesmith himself is not going to do a great deal. I mean, 30%. Here's what it's actually going to do, folks. All right? It's 30% of the 80%. Okay? So 80 times 0.7, it's going to drop. I mean, well, is it nothing?
It is nothing because you're still going to need to kill all their shields before you kill the Krenim. So it literally does nothing all by himself. You're still going to have to chew through all their shields because you're not lowering their shield mitigation enough where they're going to have any shields left over at the end of the fight. He does nothing against these without any synergy.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah. Even though you can get through the shield faster, or you can land more on the hull, It doesn't matter. Yeah, because you've got the round limit, right?
You get more on the hull, but their shields are going to last longer, more rounds, right?
Yeah, and you've got the round limit. Yeah, so
it'll
that's
take
right.
longer to get through the shields, but those hits are going to deal a little more hull damage, and by the end of the fight, literally no difference. Exactly the same.
So what are you guys suggesting? Are you suggesting Nesmith has to go with full synergy?
That's your best bet, generally.
He'll decrease the invading entity shield mitigation by 60%. Well, that's still not enough to get it down to 0. Is he subtractive or is he multiplicative?
It doesn't get it down to 0. No, it's multiplicative, I'm pretty sure.
So, yeah, it's 60% of the 80%, right?
Yeah.
So 80 times 0.4, you're still going to be dealing with 32% shield mitigation. Is 32% that different from 56%? I mean, I guess it is, but
it's big numbers on these guys' health. They have the exact same shields as they do health, unlike most armadas, which have way more hull than shields. So
yeah,
they will be left over with a quarter of their shield still that you didn't have to punch through. So it's not like massively game breaking, like not having to go through their shields at all, like the slipstream will get you to. But it can be more effective than other crews. Again, in the situation where your second ship is kind of not really you're putting out the damage that your first one is. If your first one's a big damage dealer and your second one's a lot smaller, this is a way for it to support that first one instead of trying to just add more damage on its own to a lesser degree.
Yeah, makes sense. How many shards away are you from DeMarco?
I don't know. I'm getting there. It would be really nice if we got invasions more than once a month like they were supposed to be. But let's see. Gwen DeMarco. Yeah, no, I'm way behind. I've got 50 out of 120 shards. No, not buying the pack. I ain't buying the pack. TJ says buy the pack.
Well, she's right there. She's right there, along with the Josh and along with Vielle. It's a triple play.
Oh yeah. It's up there in the store. I ain't doing it. I'm doing fine on my own.
Do it.
Where is she? No.
If you're getting your polls, then just wait until you get her for free. That's fine. It's not like you're unable to.
I mean, I'm doing okay. I'm doing all right.
I am totally on the team of you got to bring Nesmith full synergy, full send, or come up with a different plan.
Well, so the only downside is if you do have two ships that are relatively close, what you're losing out by bringing Nesmith is potentially a large amount of damage from that second ship, but also you're relying 100% on the below decks for everything, including survivability. So Paris absolutely needs to go on that ship. Pick-Hugh needs to go on that. Everything defensive is going to need to go on that ship.
And that's why they were talking about it being a support ship, that tank ship, essentially, is what they were talking about.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
Correct. See, and there we've come full circle in that strategy.
Yeah, because, you're putting everything in there that affects the target, which is Nesmith, full synergy. I'm seeing in the chat to run Nesmith, DeMarco, and Tolley, but Tolley doesn't offer synergy.
I would do I would do full synergy with DeMarco if you can.
Full synergy.
And I would probably put Janeway on the other ship since you're putting DeMarco on the Nesmith ship.
Well, that's what I've got. I'm satisfied with my primary ship setup, Picard, Bev, Janeway. But the second ship leaves a little bit of interpretation because I don't have the necessary tools running that tank right now. No, by the way, that's why I'm kind of running DJz, because she does still have that officer ability potential to increase my shots, and I've got Neelix. I also have a very unique situation with the Daredex that I'm getting gobs and gobs of shots anyway, guys. Like the Daredex, because of its ship ability, is throwing gobs and gobs and gobs of shots. So that is another thing that Matters is talking about, that it also kind of matters. I'm getting ridiculous offensive output from the Daredex that I don't necessarily need, a tank ship there, because I've got a very strong offensive ship with the Daredex. All right. If I was running a Borg cube in its place, it would be a very different conversation. But I'm getting a bunch of shots. As a matter of fact, Josh, in hindsight, is probably not the best crew for even me to be using on a Daredex. I should probably be looking at something a little bit different, because I am getting all that offensive shot output from the ship's ability. All right. Kaviji says, but do you have crit chance on it? I am not running Vial, and that's something that I could potentially look at. I've got Vial on the Enterprise. All right. And there's not a whole lot else that's going to do with crit chance. So again, this comes in where we say there's a lot of variability here. Okay. I've given you a couple of crews. Matters has given you another crew. The chat is throwing out some crew. All right. Amber is saying Nesmith, DeMarco, Josh, Torah for extra shots, which is only going to give you Nesmith with one side of synergy. All right. So that's a possibility there. Kaviji says swap Josh with Janeway. That way you can get better shot capability out of the Enterprise. Move Khan over for Toli. And then you could run. What are you running then? What are you, Nesmith, Khan, and what on the Daredex? You've got one more spot there. So, and then, you've got other people up there saying, don't run anything there. Yeah, just leave it blank.
You don't run Nesmith by himself without synergy. So, you shouldn't run Nesmith, Khan, and somebody else, because Nesmith at that point isn't doing anything. Replace Nesmith.
Fireball says I was doing Nesmith, DeMarco, Khan, and then Janeway, Doc, Torah, which is a possibility. We also did a little bit of tinkering the other night with, we looked at We looked at 7 of 9 in the place of the Doctor, but that was when we didn't have the mitigation necessary. And even when we put Paris under deck, we were still only running about 52%. We had to put some extra mitigation on the bridge. So, again, this is where a lot of that checkup from the neck up is going to come into play. Matters, go ahead with your point, and then we'll get ready to wrap up on this one.
No, I was just going to say we can do this at a later time. If you happen to have a few of those directives left over, you could quickly send out with Nesmith, and then with Nesmith with one-side synergy, and Nesmith with two-sided synergy, and see what the effect is. Just to give a visual idea that, like, with by himself, no difference, because all the shields will be gone by the end of the fight. With one-side synergy, there's going to be a tiny little sliver of blue left, but barely anything, which means he still had to pummel through most of his shields. And it's only with both sides of synergy that there's going to be a decent chunk of shields left that you didn't actually have to take out before taking out the hull. But that's going to take a few directives and time, so we can do it later.
Yeah, because it's not just simply the math on the shield mitigation, is it? You're also looking at the balance of how much hull you're able to chew out while skipping those shields. Because the reduced shield mitigation doesn't skip or bypass any shield. It doesn't show black. So what he's referring to is you still have to chew through. See, I still don't know why that's a bad thing, though. Let me ask this last question, and then we'll get ready to wrap. If I am reducing, even by himself, I'm reducing his 80% shields down to 56%, which means more is going to the hull. I am automatically chewing less shield. I'm chewing 24% net less shield. All right?
Yeah. Right, but instead of dealing twice as much, so you're dealing twice as much damage to the hull as you are to the shields as you were otherwise. Ballpark. I mean, I'm rounding.
Sure.
But what's happening is, even though his shields are taking that much less damage, it's taking twice as many rounds before the shields are gone, and all your damage is going to the hull, because the shields are taking less damage per shot. So even though each shot at the beginning of the fight is doing more hull damage, it still has a split for twice as long as it would have otherwise, because if 80% of your shot was going to the shields, your shields would be down to 0 in half as many rounds. And then all your damage would be going to the hull for that many more rounds. So if by the end of the fight, that shield bar is down to 0, the extra mitigation isn't doing anything. The extra, or the shield bypass isn't doing anything. If you're still having to take out all of their shields, the end result is it's done nothing.
That actually makes sense. That does make sense. Like and that is something you're going to have to look at a battle log for. You know, I noticed that, and thank you, Retro Hunter. Here's a very, very good example of what Matters is talking about. I'll put this in the graphics room. This is a perfect. Matters, take a look at your screen and explain this for the podcast and visual audience. This is exactly what you're talking about. In this particular screenshot, you are seeing that he defeated the target, but it still has 90 or 85% shields. So this is what you're talking about here.
The slipstream.
Well, I don't care. I don't care what it is.
Yes,
I don't care.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I don't care about the slipstream or how he got there. The point is, you're able to concentrate more fire on the hull without chewing through the shields, right?
Exactly.
If you take a look
in this fight, by the end of the fight, only 10% of their shield health actually deflected damage. So the goal is to have less of their shield health being used up deflecting your shots. So if that whole bar is red and there's no blue, all of their shield health deflected. If they had 1 million shield health, then they deflected 1 million health from their hull. Regardless of how much it was per round, if they're deflecting 1 million health from the hull, then they're deflecting 1 million health from the hull. But if they've got shield left over at the end, then you actually killed them faster because their shield didn't deflect the damage.
Yeah, it's more efficient.
And by the way, this is not full Nesmith, Matthew, because you look, he's running Picard on one, Janeway is captain on the other. There's no Nesmith here at all. All right?
Yeah, that's slipstream.
Yeah, so this one's the slipstream. Now, I'm going to point out one other thing. The only thing that may throw a flaw in your logic, all right, which I'm not saying that slipstream, and by the way, I totally understand what you're saying mathematically, but here's the next piece. Yeah. Never mind. Isolytic does still apply to the 80-20 split, doesn't it? I was getting ready to say isolytic bypasses, but it bypasses mitigation. Never mind. So, yeah, that doesn't do it either.
That's right.
Huh. Okay, so, yeah, mitigation, isolytic, the more isolytic you've got, will punch through the mitigation, the piercing factor, but it's still subjected to the 80-20 split.
Yeah.
So that's what you're looking for. All right, chat, when you're going out there and you're killing these things, take a look at the battle logs. They're going to tell you more than you think. All right, this is going to tell you, even if you're killing it, could you be killing it better? Or are you killing it fine the way it is? All right, you could be killing it better in what Matters is going to refer to as the more shields that remain, the more efficient the kill, right? For example, let's take a look at Kobe Layton here. Take a look at this screenshot. He killed this level 64 with literally less than 5% shield depletion. All right.
Very nice.
Again, no Nesmith over here, so that's probably slipstream if I had to guess there. But again, a very efficient kill, meaning that shields took less than 5% of his damage. The rest all went to hull. All right? That's actually a very, very efficient kill.
Somebody asked, what is slipstream? It's at this point a pay-only forbidden tech. It was the last forbidden tech to be released.
Now, I'd like to throw...
It gives you a per-round shield bypass that grows.
Yeah. I'm going to throw this screenshot at you very quickly and ask the question. Swimming pilot did get the kill. Absolutely got the kill, but chewed through all that shield. So was this a super efficient kill? Did it last longer than it had to? Did he take more damage than he needed to? Yes. Hey, he could have. I mean, he still killed it. I mean, after all, look, he's a 62 and he killed a 64. That's great. All right.
But in the scope of the strategy here, you want to have as much whole health left over so you can get that second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh one done if you're doing these once a week instead of having to come back over and over.
Exactly. A kill is a kill, Matt. You're absolutely right. But look at his whole damage. He couldn't do it again. And if he ran max fort, or if he was running boost, which he says in his screenshot he did, I ran full boost and exos. Well, that means he's done. All right, if he ran boost, especially max fortification, he's done because that was the only one he could do. So if he retweaks his crew to ignore some of this shield, then he might actually get a second or a third kill off that same max fort. Now, Matters, I do see this, and I'm curious myself. What is the Janeway as captain crew that they're running here? It could be Janeway, Janeway Dr. 7? Janeway Dr. It wouldn't be Chakotay. It'd be Janeway Dr.
There's
7.
No synergy that works. No double synergy will help Janeway.
Well, 7 doesn't work against these either. So Janeway Doctor. Okay. I'm sure Janeway Doctor for sure.
Yeah,
just
makes sense.
Just based on how little Hull the cube lost compared to the Ant. He's probably got Doctor there because the Doctor's ramping up mitigation, whereas it's hard to get max mitigation against these without the Doctor.
Maybe DeMarco. Probably did Janeway Dr. DeMarco.
Well, a lot of people say either DeMarco or Khan. Khan would be another good one there. Because again, these things are going more than 3, 4, 5 rounds. Khan is relevant on these.
Might have been Kirk. He said he had full boost, so he probably had 100% crit chance anyway. So he could have been running Janeway Dr. Kirk for with Kim on the Enterprise. So just to get the critical damage boost, the extra shield regen that you get from the Nova Squadron.
Yeah.
I run my second crew has Kirk on it because nowadays morale is great, even not on Enterprises.
Yeah, let's talk about that very quickly and the impact of morale. You're talking about original Kelvin Kirk, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, there's 2 reasons why you would do that. One is simply Fleet Commander Kirk. Okay, Fleet Commander Kirk over in the tactical area is going to give you. Let me see if I can find it. I thought it was tactical. No, is it not? Nope. Here it is. It's under leader.
It's leader.
Inspiring leader. When your ships have morale, they gain critical damage. Mine is currently set to 135%. So if they have morale, every critical shot is going to deal an extra 135% on the crit bonus. That is before hull breach. And if I'm running max fortification, I'm going to get 100% crit chance anyway. All right. So I am going to be dealing extra damage on every single shot by a large margin. So Kelvin Kirk, the game's first epic officer, is going to come in and play a role on these things, possibly. If you've got Harry Kim on an Explorer, you could run Kirk on the bridge of any other class of ship and get that critical damage output. Because again, coming into these things, this is all about damage.
And who likes critical output damage is definitely Captain Janeway with her isolytic and cascade damage.
Well, and not to forget, too, somebody was asking about the Janeway crew in and of itself, running Janeway Doctor. The reason that Janeway as a captain can work is because she's also doing some shield mitigation, right? If I'm not mistaken there.
Correct.
Captain Janeway is also doing shield mitigation. When you take hull damage from a non-player hostile or armada, which, by the way, means she works, she will increase your shield mitigation by 6% for a round. Basically meaning...
Which is the other reason he took less hull damage on the cube.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah, let's come back to that. Come back to that screenshot. All right. Less hull damage on the cube because he was increasing his shield mitigation.
By a lot.
By a lot. Well, and he was running forts, which means he had shield regen anyway. Look at his shield on that board cube. Didn't drop a beat. Okay?
Nope.
Yeah.
On either one.
He probably started the round with less shield than he finished the round with. He probably had more at the end, which is the same effect that old Kirk and Spock had way back in the day. All right? So Kelvin Kirk is a very viable officer here as well. I agree with that. All right, to get that morale, to get that extra damage, everything is all about damage. Does Tau
There is
work?
one more, speaking of damage. There's one more secret we haven't really talked about yet. We're all chasing what is it? What am I trying to get? What is the freaking mirror? We're all chasing mirror universe research because it's an event that comes over again and again and again every arc.
Yeah.
I would like to remind you all that there is a research in the mirror universe tree that will be very helpful here. DJ, I have it up on my screen. If you go to the Omega research, there is an invading entity weak point research.
Absolutely.
And at level 10, it is a 2,000% bonus. So if you're looking for a way to engage in mirror and you're not sure where to point your attention to, I highly recommend you look at that research.
Another one that you want to take a look at is inside the research tree as well. It is in the star path, and it is Nova Squadron. And there is one here that I haven't actually invested a great deal in, but would definitely be wise, which is increasing your shield health repair for every round while your ship has morale.
Ooh.
I haven't.
Next that first.
Yeah, you should. I spent mine on the hull breach stuff. All right. But yeah, shield repair is massive. This is one that you definitely want to be working on. And that is increasing your shield health points repair every single round while your ship has morale. That thing can get up to 10% shield health repair. And that's going to matter a lot as well there. So that is in your Nova Squadron star path. Okay. Also, Shiz is pointing out the Star Path burning one. If you take a look at burning damage, that's increasing your weapon damage when your opponent has burning, or are you talking about the burning mitigation? No, base mitigation stats. Increase isolytic damage. Probably. Is that the one you were looking at? I'm not super hot on any of the burning ones. Which one are you liking, Shiz? Burning adds a crap ton of damage. Well, yeah, it'd be 1% if you survive. Well, it's 1%, right? So I mean, that's what they're talking about is the state of burning.
Oh, just the burning itself. Yeah, and these have a big haul. So
well, the first one gives you 20% isolytic damage increase at level 10.
The first one is good for the burning one. Yeah, like the isolytic is nice for all of them. And again, you get the same thing from morale. Again, another reason to use Kirk and hull breach. But the other ones for burning, I'm not a huge fan of. The mitigation and the base damage increase.
I mean, you're talking. He's saying the third column at rank 10, it's 900% increase to base weapon damage while your opponent has burning. And while that is good, I'm not certainly knocking it. That is also very easily obtained with the favors that are in the DTI store. Now, again, nickels and dimes, you can combine it. Absolutely. Okay, I get that. But I'm just saying, like, there is more damage faster through the favors in the DTI store. That's not a bad one. It's just not the first one that I would be. Yeah, it's not the first one that I would be looking at. However, Wade does point out accurately that would apply to both ships because the target has burning.
Burning.
That is correct. Yes. It would apply to both.
Yeah.
2 for 1.
So that would affect both. As long as it's being applied by your first ship. And again, that goes back to what DJ said.
Yes.
Because it won't apply if it's your second ship that causes the burning.
That's right.
If you're using Neelix.
So, in my case, at least in round 1, no, all rounds, because Neelix only lasts for one round.
Rounds.
By the fact that I am running Neelix on the Dideridex is actually a faux pas. I need to run Neelix on the Enterprise because at least the target would still be burning, and therefore my Dideridex ability would still fire because the enemy has burning, right? As long as the Dideridex opponent is burning, the Dideridex increases the number of shots of each weapon, blah, blah, blah. So, yes, in order to get that, I can get the extra shots from the Dideridex, but if I want the Nova Squadron research to apply, and my artifacts, well, I don't think there would be any artifacts for the Enterprise and burning. So, it would just be Nova Squadron.
Just
Nova Squadron.
So the isolytic damage, the damage boost from burning.
Yeah, I've got to move Neelix over to this ship. So I can tell you right now where it's going to go. Yeah. It's going to go where Palia is. So we would move Neelix over here. And then we can move Palia or some other form of another officer over here. All right.
Well, you want Paris on that one for sure.
Well, we weren't using it because we had Doctor on this one, and we were stacking health. And until I come up with another idea. See, I don't have DeMarco. So until I come up with another idea, I feel like I got to stick here. Unless I ran. See, I've got Janeway over here. If I ran somebody else, Picard, Beverly, who? See, I really need DeMarco before I can
you really need DeMarco.
Yeah, I need DeMarco.
It's as though they put her in the pack store just for you.
Yeah, that's true. Now there are
but that pack won't even get him there.
There are isolytic artifacts for all ship types. I get that. But there are also some that are specific. And why not take everything that you can get? That matters. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, very, very good. Very Picard, Beverly, Tolley. I don't know. Is Tolley enough to overcome 6 billion in stats? Probably not. I don't know. Probably not yet. No, Kill Deal. I'm not buying the pack. Listen. We have accomplished, in 12 days, we've accomplished absolutely 0% of redemption milestones. So I'm not spending money. I got bills to pay. I was kind of hoping that our redemption milestones would help out a little bit. That ain't the case. So we're letting that go. We're letting it go.
What redemption milestone?
Remember, we've got the redemption milestones above us on the screen. Every $2,500, I was going to give him one more of the milestones from the Christmas Angel Fund. So, Tarpey, you remind everybody what it was. The first milestone, the $2,500 was what? Where'd Tarpey go? She's got the list.
Oh, the Imzadi reading?
No, it wasn't an Imzadi reading. Let's see. Tarpitude. Let's see if I can find the list. I don't even know where it is. Here we go. Okay, option. So 2,500 was I had to do the Vikings fight song in a jersey. Yo, Kill Deal. Thank you. Kill Deal just dropped the first $100 in there. Thank you so very much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Look at that.
You are so good at asking me to do something when I'm like 30 feet away from my phone.
Tarpey!
Like you know exactly when I am away from my phone.
That's because I got a camera in your house. Don't worry about it, though.
Yeah,
that's terrifying.
The Vikings fight
that is
song.
Terrifying.
And I got to buy the jersey and do all that stuff. And then at $5,000 was the makeup tutorial that the community didn't get to. So that was on the redemption milestones. At $5,000, then we'll still get you guys to do my makeup tutorial with Griffin at the helm. And then at $7,500, I have to eat actual Trek food. And I think the community already decided they were going to make me eat gach, which is, God, that's just, every time I think about it, it just makes me want to barf. I'm going to barf so hard if we do that. Oh, God. So,
what if we made you eat gummy worms for gach, though?
Oh, that'd be fine.
Not be the worst.
That'd be great. I'll be fine with that. But it doesn't matter.
What a nice Canadian way to handle that.
Yeah,
just like the armpit.
It's not going to matter though because we're at 1% of the goal. All right.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. So I mean, I would love to say we're going to get there, but it doesn't look like we're going to get there. So, I appreciate it. Yes, if we get there. Then I can do more stuff. I mean, you guys got to remember too, when we're talking about the redemption milestones, and I know we're just off the holiday season. I'll spend a second on this. We'll get ready to wrap up because we're at our time. I know I'm asking more of the community. This one is more for my benefit. No lie. It's going to come in. It's going to help with the it's your all's benefit too, though, because we've got the big cash giveaway that we've got going on with the Partner Plus program. We also have some improvements to the studio that we're wanting to make and be able to do some extra things while we're on the road this year. And we do have a few road trips planned. we're still working on some of the early details, but obviously we've got this Miami show coming up in less than 45 days, and so that's pretty exciting. We've got a couple of other things coming up throughout the summer, 1 or 2 cons that we're looking at. So there's a lot of stuff for us to be looking at doing, and we would like to invest a little bit into the studio to be able to help us do that. And then, of course, just to help us get out from underneath some of the operating costs for the remainder of 2024. We've got taxes coming up. So, we are asking for your help, community. It's like National Public Radio. We are in our drive, our fundraising drive, and our programming is made possible by the wonderful community support from listeners like you. You can come into
Clambuster says, get heat in the studio. Exactly.
That's a low priority, all right? I'm not even going to need... No, I'm not even going to need heat in 2 more months. I'm not even going to need heat. Okay, it's fine.
But you might need a few more toes that you're going to have to chop off.
My toes are fine. I can still feel them and everything. Everything is great right now. Okay, so we are asking for your support studio or your support chat in assisting us build the studio and reinvest into some of the stuff we're going to be doing for the community over the next 12 months. $7,500 is our goal by March 31st, and we're very, very early in that. We're 1% towards our goal. Kill First just dropped the first $100 in there, so I would appreciate you guys using !tip, !donate, or if you're in the podcast, come into the Discord. We have PayPal. We've got Venmo. I think we even have Cash App. Not sure what all the things that we've got in there. It's all in there. So we really would appreciate your help and in improving the studio and doing some extra things. And that's what we're looking for. $7,500 is the goal by March 31st. But if we hit that $7,500 in the next 45 days, then Daystros is actually cooking our Star Trek food for us, Griffin, and we'll be able to do that in Miami. So, there you go. With that, let me open up the chat for just 2 or 3 moments for questions regarding the invading entity arc. I believe that we have very well summarized the purpose of the loop, the crews that we are looking to use, some of the ideas about how you need to form your own crews and the things that you're looking for, but then also how to fully utilize the store. As well, and the order and stuff at which you are buying stuff in the store and what the value is for some of those items in the store. The next 3 minutes, we'll ask the chat if they have any question. Rocky Mountain says, I'm looking forward to the officers offered this arc. Are you? Well, that's
okay. Good. You know what? You have taken a big poopy on those officers for too long.
Yeah.
Because we have always been thinking about the crews is how do they work together? And one thing that I really liked that I saw Backlights plans to do was in the news section of Star Trek FleetCommand.com, easy for me to say. In the news section of Star Trek FleetCommand.com, there is a wonderful Battleship Retaliation Squad blog up that shows you just how diverse these officers can be when paired with other previous iterations of these strike teams. Have you read that post?
No, why don't you show us? I'll turn on the webcam and you can show us.
Ooh, you do that because I'm on the wrong screen. Well, you show them.
All right, so we're talking about how these officers work with other crews, is what you're saying?
Yes, you should read the post, the Battleship Retaliation Squad, posted by Beck, not 2 days ago on January the 10th.
Yep, I see it.
One day after your meltdown. And read through.
Okay, so a couple of suggested crews would be Specialist 7 in the captain's chair, along with Garrett and Gul Dukat. Specialist 7 with Infiltrator Tuvok and Carol Freeman. 7 with Icheb and Mir Uhura or Dazak. I mean, maybe.
I mean, just look at Tuvok there. Imagine putting him with Lorca and Worf and what that does.
Honor Guard Worf as captain?
I mean, way better than the other two.
Yeah.
I mean, Tuvok doesn't have a captain's ability. Lorca's is pretty lackluster these days because it's I think it's what it's like 100% officer attack reduction or something, which is nothing these days. So Honor Guard Wharf would be your best of the three.
And look at that Freeman Lorca Echep combo right there. What does it say? High shot count, high defense, isolated cascade.
That one may not be bad, because what you're replacing there is Honor Guard Wharf. That one I could potentially see. I could actually see some merit to that one.
So the point is that there's a lot of extra crewjitsu in here, when we love crewjitsu, that we haven't fully explored on this channel in our think tank, in ways that these officers are meant to be utilized, not necessarily all on the same ship.
Okay.
Did I hear you say Dzoc on the bridge?
Well, he said or Dzoc, but it just had it as an extra slash. So I think what they meant was,
you mean using mirror
Dzoc below decks?
I see.
Because
Mirror Uhura on the bridge, and then Dzoc below, because that's needed for Mirror Uhura. Yeah.
Okay, because I was going to say his officer I thought was for armadas.
Yeah, right here. Okay, I see. I might have read that wrong. Specialist 7, Echeb, Mirror Uhura, with Dzoc under deck. Once a simulation activates from Dzoc, your apex barrier will quickly become all but impenetrable.
Ooh.
So
impenetrable.
that would be another PvP crew for arenas if/when they come back, if your mirror data is good.
No, not data.
Because, yeah, mirror data. If you have a good mirror data and he procs on his own, and you don't need Dzoc.
Well,
right? Or do you still need Dzoc every time?
Well, mirror data doesn't provide a combat ability. It's just assimilate. So if you've got Dzoc under deck, then you actually get a combat ability from Mirror Uhura. I mean, you could put data up there.
Right.
But
No, what I'm saying is you could use them separately.
You could. Yes. I would still recommend, honestly, putting Dzoc with Mirror Uhura and keeping data with Picard. For one of your people.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. You have two separate ones now.
Yeah.
With Dzoc somewhere else.
Wonder Yam says, DJ, can you confirm when territory reset will happen? Territory season starts January 21st. The date territory capture gets reset, please, is also tentatively scheduled for January 21st. Okay, there you go. It is currently tentatively scheduled for the same date. So if you want to look for a little time between now and then, it looks like you've got one more run of territories that you can do. That did come from Dev Chat, that it is tentatively scheduled for the 21st. Okay?
Oh, they're wiping it and letting us go back in the same day?
Yeah.
Well, 24 hours apart, because they'll wipe it on a Tuesday and...
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, that's the tentative schedule. All right.
Okay.
Riskbreaker says, good job. This was much more informative than the first attempt. The first attempt was learning anyway. That Tuesday show on Twitch is always exploration, learning going in. That's when we look at our data. We do a lot of testing and stuff. Then it takes a couple of days for us to flesh out the procedure, look at the benefits, do the analytics on the data. And this one, again, a little bit more complicated, which now that I'm less grumpy, I'm actually appreciating the complication a little bit more. But I have always liked convoluted loops. I always have. I've always liked the harder the puzzle, the better, the more fun it is for me. I've always enjoyed that. After getting a little bit of help from Matters and Jules and a little bit of direction, it quickly became a little bit more fun. I could totally see players being very frustrated if they had no idea what they were walking into. This loop does not explain itself well. And the documentation, even in the blog post and in the game, it's not very good for this loop. But fortunately, this community always rallies together and bands together to find the good, easy ways to go through it. And that has been especially true this time, and this is actually pretty good. A pretty good teaching method here.
And it's not so much that the communication and the blog posts were bad. It's just that you're really encouraged to do the work here. You got to show your work on these math problems.
Oh, for sure.
So that's what we're here for.
Yep. Lawson says, where do you fall on the benefits of the loop other than the building? Well, I mean, the loop, benefits of the loop. I mean, the favors that's what you've got, right? I guess at this point.
Oh, there's the reputation
Reputation,
bundles,
which is
the artifacts.
store.
Like, yeah, that's the loop, right? In the store.
There's also officer sourcing there. Let's not discount that. You've got beer there. Yeah. You've got Vial, Tolra. Those are all important officers. Toli also, but probably the least out of the four for me. Vial, probably the most out of the four for me. So I'm very pleased with the officer sourcing there. And then, reputation, which might look a little weak right here up front, but there are going to be ways, I'm told, to enhance that over time. And then, like I said, you do have some Apex barrier in here for both PvE. Let's see, I don't see PvP, so just PvE. What you're looking at here is you're looking at artifacts, officers, reputation. And at least the officers and artifacts I can get behind. I'm not one to grind reputation, but I do. I was just talking earlier this stream about artifacts. I think artifacts are great because they don't take a slot. They're not forbidden tech. They're not chaos tech. They're not a bridge slot. They're research. They're always on. I love artifacts. They just always apply. Every single one that I get improves every single one of my ships. I don't have to slot it. I don't have to pay to take it off. Like, artifacts to me are great. So I'm very happy with that, and I'm very happy with officer sourcing. So, the DTI building is going to support the loop. The loop is going to get me 2 things out of 3 that I'm pretty happy with, which is officers and artifacts.
There you go.
Yeah, I like it.
So it ain't all bad, and it makes a lot more sense. And even that blog post made the officers make a lot more sense, at least to me, and made me, sort of scratch my chin and think of, maybe take another look at these and see what else I might want to do with them, especially as Tarpy said, for things like arenas and get some depth in the chart.
Yeah. Matt says, are Alliance tournaments and war rooms scheduled? I do not have days. I'm told that they will run. I do not have days. All right. Riskbreaker says, I found this loop relatively simple up front to understand, but this gave me a much more in-depth understanding of the loop. Oh, I'm glad, Riskbreaker. Thank you for listening tonight. I do appreciate that. Let's see. Benny Hill says, folks are trying to decide if one does need to invest time in this loop. I think it comes down to those are the 3 benefits. Rep, officers, artifacts. Are any of those valuable? If so, chase it. And Leslie, sure. Yeah, if you want Leslie.
Leslie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matthew Horton says...
Now, there you go again. There's always a reason to want to unlock an officer or an upgrade an officer. People collect that stuff.
In all fairness,
we finally have sourcing for Leslie.
I was going to say, Leslie didn't have sourcing. I'm completely cool with that being there. Honestly, it's not something I'll focus on, but I'm completely fine that it's there. Okay, truthfully, I'm very, very happy that it's there. He needed sourcing. Okay.
I hope they add the commons next month, because those are the 2 that people really need. But because Leslie has some sourcing. It's the 2 commons from the Shakedown crew that have 0 sourcing.
Yeah,
I've got Leslie Max, and I only ever bought one of those Shakedown Cruise packs before I started getting the elite, the elite faction packs that you hate that I like.
Yeah,
and we've had this discussion a bunch of times, so we don't need to rehash it.
Oh, the elite, are they in the elite faction packs?
The 2
uncommons. Yeah,
Hendroff and
I've never bought
Leslie.
one.
Mr. Tockley asked,
well, most people haven't because everyone poo-poos on it, but I've enjoyed it. I've got a Max Terracin, a Max Curon, and a Max Bator because of it, as well as a Max Leslie.
Oh wow. Really?
Yeah. Mr. Tockley asked if there's going to be a summary of this episode regarding crewing. That'll be up to Green Griffin over here if he's got time to cut one out. We've got very busy schedules over the next few days. So, but the podcast and the YouTube video and the Twitch video will be posted back, and crew was probably the second half of this episode, so you could always rewind and go back. But I don't know. It might be too long a conversation to condense into a YouTube video. I'm not entirely sure. Plus, again,
I've been thinking about it. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot, and not only that, but it's not one size fits all. What works for me is different than Matters, is different than Griffin, is different than you. So there's a general idea of where you can start, but you're going to have to fine tune on your own. You're going to have to fine-tune it on your own. When is Saris Invasion coming back? I do not have a date. I'm told that it will run this month, but I mean, I'm still trying to advocate to get it run twice a month. I don't know if I'm going to win that fight, but I mean, that's what they said. So that's what I'm working
Originally,
on.
yeah, bi-weekly.
It is. That is what they said. So I don't know. We're going to work on that. Voltron says maybe a quick and dirty by the end of the month. Here's the thing. There's nothing quick and dirty about this loop. We could probably actually turn the loop and the faction store into a quick and dirty. I don't know that the officers can be a quick and dirty. I mean, we could probably try, hey, this is what works for me. Here are the officers that do work. Form your own opinions. You know, I don't know that a quick and dirty on officers is a good idea just because what works for me is not going to work for everybody. So
there's so much fine tuning depending on the player, what they're running, what forbidden text they have, like everything that
what ship they're on.
The game has
everything.
The game has gotten to a point where anything that comes out that's a little bit challenging, there is not generally one go-to crew that is going to work for everybody. It's become a very independent, not independent, but like just a different experience for each player depending on where they're at, and the right thing for them to do is different than what the right thing for other people to do is.
And for the record,
and I think that's cool.
Yes, I like that. I do like that. So I wouldn't necessarily call it too complicated, Floyd. It's just that we are now, and we have been actually for probably about a year and a half, 2 years. We are at a point in this game where decisions matter. All right. We didn't used to be. When everybody was playing G3, it was the same game. All right. But now there's been enough divergence in the game and enough focus on different loops that mileage may vary. You know, I have been a huge advocate for artifacts, for example. I love artifacts. I've invested a lot into artifacts. I think that they're valuable. Some other players don't. There are players in the game who don't have Voyager yet, so their isolytic artifacts are at 0. I'm telling you, that's going to make a huge difference. Isolytic damage is a big deal today. So that's going to be a massive game changer for you if you don't have a lot of isolytic damage. I think that's a divergent choice that somebody would have made to not focus on that. So, you know, there's a lot of reasons or variability why what works for me won't work for you, and vice versa. For example, I don't have DeMarco, right? Somebody might, and that puts me at a disadvantage. That puts me having to scramble for an alternative solution where DeMarco might be the ideal solution. So that's just another example of divergent choices. You know, I focused on tiering the Protector. You guys focused on getting Gwen DeMarco. Who made the right call? Wasn't me. So, you know, there are choices in this game, and we are at a point where choices have implications. So.
Well said.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, poor planning on my part. I know. Absolutely. All right, guys. That's going to do it. I appreciate all of you guys for coming out. Thank you for the contributions. Jeef Boo with the Tier 1 resub as we get ready to wrap up. Kill Deal, thank you again for the $100 tip. He writes buy the DeMarco pack on there, but I'm going to, respectfully, I'm going to apply your balance to the redemption milestones because I just can't spend extra money on the game right now while we've got the goals and stuff that we want to hit here in studio. So again, I remind you guys, I would very, very much appreciate your support and your help as we march towards really $2,500 a month, not a massive, large number. $7,500 is the goal for the next 90 days. Would really, really appreciate your guys' help in getting there. As we prepare to go out, I will remind you that arenas are not happening on Monday, or at least starting even now for the APAC servers. APAC arenas are not happening. You are going to get your comp. That's going to happen. Captain Taylor says, oh, my God,
it's already
thank
there.
you.
Go get it now.
Yep, already there. Battle Pass. Oh, yeah, we gave that away earlier in our brand new, with our new Spam It bot. Congratulations to Mosher, Bearbutt, Leprechaun, Turmoil, Obsidian Poet, Shady Pines, Ice Cube, Major Samo, Lady Unileska, and Yellow 11. You guys won a free Battle Pass for the month of January. Congratulations to you. All right, that's going to do it for tonight. Thank you guys so very much. Appreciate you guys one and all for being here. We've got a lot coming up. Let's see. Today's Sunday. So our next stream will be on Tuesday. And we'll come in and we'll be hanging out on some STFC. I might do a little bit tomorrow night, maybe. Probably not. I've still got some work to do, so we'll see how it goes. But I've got some stuff that we've got planned throughout the week. We did have our interview with Dr. Aaron McDonald on Friday, which was really, really great. So we're going to work on putting that together and releasing that to you guys here before too awful long as well. I'd like to invite you to visit our website at TalkingTrekSTFC.com. That's TalkingTrekSTFC.com for your chance to get linked over to our Twitch, our YouTube, our merch store, our Patreon, where there is a brand new Studio B that got launched today. So you guys can go and check that out and check out the new sponsorships available or the new memberships available to get access to Studio B, which just continues to be so much fun. We've had a blast with that. So you guys can go and check on that stuff as well. Who is streaming tonight with Star Trek Fleet Command? That looks like it would be Ice Wolf. And Ice Wolf, thankfully, is safe and now home. We can go over and talk to her. Obviously, she's from the Los Angeles area, so glad to see that she is safe, doing well, that her home is still impacted. This was not something we touched on tonight, but do just know that our hearts and prayers are with all affected by the Los Angeles wildfires, including those from the Star Trek extended family, those in the Star Trek universe, and everybody who has experienced any kind of loss of life, loss of family members, loss of homes or memories. It's just absolutely devastating. So our thoughts and prayers are with all of those. I have heard from Scribbler today. Scribbler is safe. Scribbler is home. Beck is safe. Beck is home, and now Ice Wolf is home. We're going to go check in on her over on her channel. My name is UltimatDJz, your friendly neighborhood cat person saying meow for now. Love you, minute. We'll catch you on the next one. Good night, everybody.